A lo que yo vine fue a esto.
What other reason other than to be a fucking... Oh, I almost said it.
Don't you get it? Everybody dies here. It's just a rule. Death, taxes, more death. And I don't pay taxes, so all I know is death.
Boss, I swear there's nobody here. We've swept the entire compound with 50 guys, the lasers are activated, and we've got a dozen dogs on patrol.
Jesus, stay back!
A lot more room for advancement down here.
Bail no, bro.
Bail no, bro. Oh, hang on a second.
Beautiful night out in Gotham. You could get away with virtually anything right now because no one's around. It's fucking fantastic.
Fool. No man can kill me.
It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. Instead of treating me, get tricked. That is simply get kicked. It's a hard knock life. It's a hard knock life.
This thing happened, and then this thing happened, and then this other thing happened, and then I was fat and had no neck, but that's beside the point.
How can I, the great...
I don't know what the fuck that means.
When asked if RE4 would ever be ported to the PlayStation 2, Kobayashi responded, "Definitely not, definitely not, it's a GameCube exclusive." Mikami even said he would cut his own head off should the game ever be released on any other platform.
Isn't it clear that I'm gonna just completely f your ass up if you don't take 3 steps back? It's not, is it? You just look at me. Look at him looking at me.
I won't let you.
It's a blessing in disguise. I mean, I don't want no kids weighing my ass down. I should have kept that story to myself. Look, I'm sorry. I should not have unloaded on you like that. Here's a steak knife. Go kill yourself on your lawn.
Can we watch Rick and Morty?
Change that channel, you'll taste the blade!
Oh, man.
Was it Destiny's Child that did the fuck Frost Comics?
Is that like a personal attack or something?
How many died today? People die and Yuna dances. When will she stop dancing? When will it stop? Yuna won't stop dancing. Not until Sin is gone.
It don't matter. None of this matters.
But that would require work, and work is hard.
I applauded it for being different!
It broke new ground!
Oh shit, here we go again.
Round 1, fight!
Why, we're live, and my guests are here with me. Hello, everybody who's watching in the future and now. Thank you for joining me on my little research project. Salty, Vaughn, thank you so much for joining me. Vaughn, this is our first time speaking on stream. Nice to talk to you, not just DM. Thanks for joining me. I can't hear you. Are you muted? Am I coming through?
He's muted.
I think you're muted.
Himself.
That's okay. So, to
This
go
is what
over...
happens when you send the link out super late, by the way.
I'm
gonna blame you.
I gave you like 10 minutes. How much time do you
blame
need?
you.
No, that would be me.
Oh, okay.
I'll take.
Oh, blame Jared.
As the host, though, I guess it is my responsibility. So, yeah. So the nature of this whole thing is I want to do an analysis of the MCU's writing and the quality of the writing.
Mhm.
I am of the opinion, not to put all my cards on the table, but I am of the opinion that the writing quality has degraded as the MCU's life has extended. I know, controversial take, right? But like people say that and they don't really point to like why or how. So that's what I want to do. I want to look at like the character writing and the plot, and like starting with Iron Man, were those things really strong? And did they maintain that or get better? And did the box office kind of reflect that? And then as we've seen stuff like Eternals didn't do so hot, Marvel's did atrocious. We've seen stuff drop off, but like, is the writing quality, reflective of that drop off? And I want to be able to like analyze it and point to like real reasons and not just say, like, oh, well, it's woke. Well, okay, maybe if it's woke, that doesn't necessarily mean that it was badly written. Why was it badly written? Like there are problems. I used this in the video, the announcement video, and Multiverse of Madness. Again, not to lay cards on the table. Multiverse of Madness has writing problems, but the writing problems aren't related to America Chavez having two moms. The writing problems are related to everything else that happens in that film. So starting with Iron Man, like what are the strengths of this? And did it have any flaws that people either don't see anymore because of like nostalgia glasses or what have you? And so I have my, notes and my 2 cents, but you guys see stuff that I don't see. You guys have opinions I don't have. So you guys can offer an insight that I wouldn't have otherwise. So that's why I wanted to invite you to do this with me. And also because it makes it a lot more fun than just rewatching it all on my own and, jotting down a bunch of notes and stuff. But before all that, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves? I guess we'll go alphabetically. Salty, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Probably most of the people who
are we
be
going
watching this know
alphabet
both
by
you guys.
first name or last name? Because I mean, if this is school, you'd go by last name.
Yeah, but
Doesn't
I'm
really
not.
matter.
I'm
There's
not
two
opening.
people,
I'm not
you
doing
know?
school. Yeah.
Well, I'm Sean Salter. You can call me Salty. I'm a 20-year veteran of entertainment advertising out in Hollywood, and then I left California. I left Los Angeles before it burnt to the ground, thanks to the Democrat Party, and moved into the middle of nowhere. And now I make comic books and draw and write and am silly on the internets. Yeah,
good intro.
It's fun. So I'm Vaughn Coleman. I'm a writer and a creator. I created my own company called Rebel Oasis Studios and my own comic book called Phenomenova. So that is what I did. Issue 2. I mean, obviously, I've got coming out right now. I'm also a film student. I graduated and majored in that. So that's me. That's my deal. I have a YouTube channel too, just Vaughn Coleman. And yeah.
Dang it, I should have plugged my
celebrating-
comic book. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, go right ahead. This is equal opportunity. Plug every time that you want to. Absolutely. Even in the middle of talking about Iron Man, go for it.
I'll do it later. What were you saying? Sorry, Jared.
I'm celebrating with my Avengers glass and some sparkling cider, as my channel has finally reached 500 subscribers.
Wow,
Hooray,
nice,
hooray.
man. Congrats.
So
dude.
thank you. I'm very proud of the video that brought me there, which is the Captain America thing. And it's kind of appropriate that I had a Captain America video going into a talk about Iron Man and the Avengers and the MCU and everything. So
Mhm.
kind of worked out pretty well.
Captain America or Captain America?
Yes. Yes, Captain America. Exactly. So I guess to start with Iron Man, there's really not any strict format I want to do with this. I don't want to say, let's go plot point by plot point. I really would like to talk about how we feel about the film, but also do like a breakdown of the writing. And starting with like, in my opinion, I loved the film. I mean, just to be honest, like I loved it in 2008, and rewatching it over the years and rewatching it again for this stream, I still really enjoyed the film. And a lot of it is the acting, the performances from the characters is I think really, really strong. But I also, watching it again and trying to evaluate it for writing, I didn't really see a lot of plot holes, and I didn't really see a lot of character behavior that seemed odd or out of character for me. There are a few things where you're like, well, why did he do that? But it's kind of like with a character who does something that you might think is stupid or you wouldn't do that, you could still kind of see how that character did that. And if it's logically consistent for the character, even if it's like an objectively, like you'd say it was a mistake that he made, then I can still say, okay, that's not necessarily bad writing then. But so that's kind of my initial thoughts going into it. What do you guys think?
I mean, yeah, I think that it was very well done. I'm glad I rewatched it. And made me kind of go back to like, because I got into comics and the movies first, and I was like, this is what really inspired me. And I was like, these origin stories, these building into the superhero, and then have that third act fight. And I was like, this one is exceptionally well done, even from the opening scene. I mean, we see like a landscape shot, and it's not super colorful or anything as the opening shot. And I remember rewinding, I was like, that's how it starts?
Mhm.
It's interesting just because it's like from a shot composition standpoint, just that I don't know, and maybe that's not super uncommon still, but it was almost like reminding me that things weren't always there's something about it where this movie's just so human.
Yes.
And that I like. There's something about the simplicity of it, and I think people think that just because you have a world of superheroes means that they have to be like that and everything. And it's like, dude, just because something wasn't in this movie doesn't mean that it's not in the universe. And that was one of the things where I remember that was kind of the mentality back then is, well, we haven't seen it yet. Well, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are 3 people on the podcast right now. It doesn't mean that there aren't billions of others.
Right.
Right. So I was very happy with it, and I was kind of almost looking for things that could be considered plot holes. There's
Same, yeah.
one, but like honestly, it just kind of flows, man.
Wait, what's the plot hole?
Well, I don't think it really is one. The more I think about it, but it was like basically when it goes, my suit is an improvement over yours in every way. And maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, but did he have the schematics for that version of the Iron Man suit that he was fighting?
No,
I think he was referring to the original suit.
Yeah, that's why I said
Yeah.
kind of, and then I realized, well, no, he's referring to the original.
Yeah,
So.
that's why his suit looked so much like the original suit.
Yeah, that's why
He
I
was-
retracted it. Is I was like, that was kind of it, but then I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
think so.
You thought you
one
were
of the
so
things I-
talented, Obadiah Stane.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, he's really talented at yelling at technicians and making them reverse engineer stuff, I guess, which is a skill some people have and need, I guess. I was kind of surprised watching it how if you can tell it's from 2008 because like little things, right? Like the fact that he's a real person who actually, like, this is so weird to me that he actually has sexual attraction to women.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
That's completely gone now in superhero movies, like in MCU movies. Like, there's no one that's like no one makes a comment about like again, not to skip ahead too much, but like he was very human in this, and he's very human in Iron Man 2. Like he's attracted to Romanov, when she's undercover, and spoiler alert. And so like that's a point that she was using that to get into the company and get in as a spy. And so he's not like, they don't shy away from the fact that Tony Stark likes attractive women and pursues attractive women. And so like after like Guardians, that kind of dies off in the MCU, and like men aren't attracted to women anymore. Like the closest you kind of end up getting is like the weird simpering behavior of Doctor Strange and Thor, but that's like not the same thing as like the classic romance of, you know, Peggy and Steve, or the, you know, horn dog behavior of Tony Stark when he was yeah. So that stood out to me. And when he was talking to Rhodey about the pilots and all the pilots in there, did you notice every single pilot was a man? Every single pilot was a man.
Yeah.
That leapt out to me.
That didn't leap out to me, but there was like the female soldier in the beginning when he makes the joke about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that, like, there from the opening scene, I'm like, that couldn't get done, that couldn't get done.
That would not exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
The stewardesses with their little uniforms, like dancing.
And I'm like, all of this is harmless, and all of this kind of goes to show the character. And it's like, thinking about it, it's like, it kind of, you know, made me realize, like, we started off so good. Look at what happened. And it's like, that kind of stuff does make you go. I think that the part that just agrees, why, when you ask the logical question, why can't you do that today? And then it goes, you can't get a logical answer because there isn't any, because there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's Tony's character. He talks like that. He makes jokes. That's how the soldiers, what I like about that opening is just how human the characters feel. Even just those few soldiers. I remember when I was in the theater, I was like heartbroken when they get killed off, because it's
I know,
man. And you know, I also, I'm getting to the characters and the writing. I like the way everyone acts is great. Also, seeing like Islamic terrorists, like that was, because I know they do kind of pivot it to where the real bad guy is like the white corporate American,
right?
But even still, it kind of worked. They still had Islamic terrorists.
And that was almost edgy in a way, because they had because like if you play, like if you read or watch or play anything that's Tom Clancy, all the Clancy stuff always kind of deflects to like Eastern European bloc terrorist or whatever, and they never really, even when there was a period of time where Islamic terrorism was very rampant in the United States, they never really pursued that in any
that never happened.
Media.
Don't lie, Jared.
You're right. That's true. I'm making that up because
that's
I'm evil.
propaganda.
I am an evil propagandist.
That's
it's true.
Right-wing propaganda from the mainstream what?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and then I think, I mean, even down to that part, that comment he made, because there are politics in this movie, but it's like all interwoven with character and stuff.
Yeah.
And you could have like, which is important, you know, but it's like, or even though the whole like Berkeley jab, it's like Berkeley or Brown, haha. Like I was like, oh my God, they went there. Or it's like the bleeding hearts. Like obviously, you know that like the movie seems to be liberal leaning, which is fine.
Does it though?
I mean, that's just, first of all, I just generally in Hollywood, that seems to be the thing. Well, and it's because the one guy who's like, the guys, when they go through change, when he seems to be like, they seem to be conservative, right? The two guys who seem to be conservative, for
which
the
guys?
most part, I would say, I was getting to that. I would say are Tony and Obadiah, but then Tony starts changing and disagreeing with Obadiah. But even then, you could argue not really. Like that would be me reading. That's one of the things I said. Well, this is me reading into it, and that's why I went. And that's good. That's good that you would have to read into it to come to any kind of conclusion. Even then, we could have a debate about it. Like even right now.
Yeah, I would say that that's not there at all. I mean, there's no like right versus left. I think what it is just a good old-fashioned like American hero story. I think that it is. I think that sometime like back maybe in 2008 when the evil corporate executive was a bad guy, that seemed like a left-wing thing. But I think, let's be honest, a lot of liberals were right about that. And that's kind of true now. So when you look at it like, you know, if we do presentism and look at it now, it just feels like a based story. It doesn't feel like left or right. It feels like a classic American hero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's bad guys abroad, but there's bad guys within, and he's going to deal with both. And it's why it is top 5 comic book movies
of all time. Yeah. And by the way, my whole point with me saying that is that you could kind of read it that way, or you could not, or you could read it however, is I think the movie works. But that's, again, all of this adds up to just a good movie and a good story. And like any good story, you can kind of read it in a bunch of different ways.
That's kind of the beauty of it, right? Because like Tony Stark in this film, especially, you can empathize with him and you can relate to him no matter what your politics. Because like, no matter if you're like, pro, warmonger, if you're like that, or if you're like, oh no, bleeding heart hippie, either way, like the problem that he's dealing with is someone is putting his name on something that he's ashamed of. Like he doesn't want anything to do with that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it's like saying we got to protect, our soldiers. And that's one of the things too. It's basically someone trying to do the right thing. And there are people trying to get in his way. And that's ultimately what it comes down to, is Tony's just trying to do the right thing. And I think it works for that reason. I think on a human level, you understand, like, especially when he bonds with the man in the cave.
Yeah. I was Ho originally, Jensen. Yeah.
It's and then he ends up dying. You really feel for it. You really feel like, but like by the time that changes, then you've got. He knows what he wants to make the world a better place. It's like a phoenix from the ashes kind of story. And from that point, it's like, just the way everything he does works, because he still feels like Tony when he comes out of that. He's still impulsive. He still says what's on his mind. What's on his mind is different.
Right.
And it's almost like, I actually think like Obadiah's deflecting of like, oh, they're hippies, is kind of like almost shown as like him using politics as a deflection of this is a partisan issue, and it's really not. It's just human lives. And I think that was kind of my point, is you could read it that way, but again, you would have to really read it that way. And that's one of the things I think that makes that movie work. Also, I think the shot compositions, especially that one sequence where he goes in and starts killing the terrorists, which again, I don't know if that could happen today, but that scene is awesome. The shots are really good. And I was like, this is like, I remember all these shots where Iron Man's crawling out, where Iron Man turns and then he fires back. And you know why it kind of feels comic booky? You know who storyboarded it?
No, who?
Stephen Platt.
Really?
Oh, nice.
Stephen Platt.
I did not know that.
Yeah, let me just double check that, but I'm pretty sure Stephen Platt did Iron Man.
One of the things that I love from that sequence is like it, for like a few seconds there, it becomes like a horror movie where those guys are in the cave with Iron Man, and you're like, oh boy, they have screwed up now.
Yeah, I love the dramatic suspense that the buildup of what is going on, and a lot of the, what's his name? Why Alfred Hitchcock shots, facial expression first, and then cut to what they're looking at, which was, quintessential Alfred Hitchcock, which I think built the suspense of like, it puts you in the feet or the shoes of the terrorists, which is kind of cool. I think for me, the biggest thing that I love about this, other than it being like seriously probably top 3 best
it's
comic
really
book,
fantastic.
movies, is it tells the redemptive story of Tony Stark in under 2.5 hours. So we get to see a playboy, a guy that is very devil may care, does not give a shit about really anybody. He doesn't care about the women he sleeps with. He doesn't even care about Rhodey, his best friend, really. Yeah. There's no consequences to his actions. He just is living by the seat of his pants, doing whatever the hell that he wants.
Right.
Because he's the richest guy, in the world, essentially. And his past and his not giving a crap attitude, and not being he's not the master of his domain, right? Obadiah Stane has completely undermined him and completely taken over his company,
and he's let it happen.
Yeah, he's not the king of his throne. He's not the master of his domain, and he doesn't care. He hasn't been paying attention. He's not in the driver's seat. He's actually in the passenger seat. But he's been gifted authority from his father, and so it's a very kind of almost like spiritual quest for Tony Stark. So he's gifted this great kingdom, and he's let it go, and he's let it go to other people that have evil intentions. And his attitude and his playboy, actions and not giving a crap and not taking responsibility have led to almost his death and the death of others and the misfortune of an entire region. And that sticks with him. I mean, literally his past is trying to kill him with the shrapnel that's in his heart.
Right.
And only by stepping into his authority and stepping into, his destiny that was, given to him by his father, is he able to then do the right thing, or he chooses to then do the right thing, which I think is such a great, for me, that's the story. That's the story of a real hero. It's the guy that shouldn't be the hero, but because he still has character, because he still wants, at the end of the day, isn't a bad guy. He just likes to do bad things, which we all like to do. He chooses the right thing.
Yeah.
And saves the day. And then it ends really great because he's like, F it, I'm Iron Man, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that his arc is so well done, like where he basically I apologize, the band's name in the cave. I forget his name.
Yinsen.
Yinsen, he's the first person to ever really get Tony to evaluate his values and realize he kind of has nothing. And I think it's great because, so Tony sleeps with that girl just because he wants to, and because and he says stuff like, the medical stuff is true, but ultimately, in his heart that he's just he's in it for the money and whatever. And he comes back as someone who's caring, and I think his arc really works because. Maybe there was the potential to be a hero in him all along, but again, it's almost like with great power comes great responsibility in the sense that he has this intellectual power.
I'm glad you said that, because there's two things that it makes me think of everything you guys are talking about. Number one, it almost kind of reminds me of Scrooge, because it's almost like instead of the ghosts of different periods of his life, what he sees is he sees different people who are suffering or who have suffered because of what he's gone through. So his ghost of Christmas past is seeing the soldiers die in front of him, and then the ghost of the Christmas present is interacting with Yinsen, and then Yinsen's death is almost like his ghost of the Christmas future, or Christmas is to come, because his dying words to Tony are to not waste his life. And when you say that it's like a great power, great responsibility thing, I think Yinsen actually becomes his Uncle Ben in a lot of ways, because when he's before the cave, before the incident and everything, it's exactly like you guys said. He does not care. The only thing that he entertains himself with, just frivolousness and pleasure and everything else, because he's done everything that he thinks that he needs to do, that he is supposed to do, that he wants to do. And now when he sees what has happened, and then he sees it like very realistically, not just in front of him, but he sees what's happened to a guy like Yinsen, who met him at a conference. He was drunk off his ass and still giving a lecture there, because he didn't take that seriously either. And Yinsen, I think, is an interesting character, because why was Yinsen there? He was spared, but you see at the end of the opening, when Yinsen gives his life to save Tony's and give him more time, you see that he's willing to die. He's willing to put his life on the line. He could have done that at any point. I wonder if Yinsen was there and stuck around, because they killed his family, they killed everyone in his village, they kept him because he's useful.
That's what I was wondering too. Why did he?
Maybe because I was talking to a friend about this yesterday, kind of ahead of this stream. And
I'll
maybe
give you guys a hint. It's because he had to move the story along.
Well, yeah, but but from the character, from a character writing perspective, if he was there for revenge, it might have been something that he might have changed his mind because of Tony, and then in essence, him changing Tony's mind in return. See, he sees what has happened with him, and sees his life, and then. I think
it's much simpler than that. I think it's what it is that he's the type of character who's not going to commit suicide. He's not the type of character that's going to be stupid and hasty with the time that he's given, and his family's gone, so he doesn't quite have enough to live for either. But I think what it is that he's the type of guy he's got steady hands, so we know that he's kind of a surgeon or a doctor or something. So he's an intelligent guy. So all I see it as is he knows that his time's coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that he's not long for the world. but he sees that opportunity in that moment as the perfect time for him to decide the next steps and for him to take back his power, to use like a lefty term. But so it's a calculated move in the moment because, you know, they had a plan and the plan kind of went awry. And so he decided, well, I'm going to go out anyways. I might as well go out fighting. So I don't think it has anything other than it was just an opportunity. It was a moment of opportunity.
Oh, I mean, I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but like, I'm just thinking of,
no, I'm always right.
Why was he there leading up to it? So that's all I was thinking about.
Well, I mean,
like,
it's because he got captured because he also is a scientist and they were trying to get, you know, him to build something. He probably couldn't do it and said, well, if I had Tony Stark, I could get the help. And then,
I think he was probably looking for an opportunity to do something positive based on what he said to Tony. And then he sees Tony as the opportunity for that. And the last thing that he can do, because like he said, that his plan was to go see his family. And so he sees Tony as a way to do that in the best way possible and still accomplish what he wanted to do. Yeah.
Screw up the bad guys.
Change the most important man in the Marvel Universe's life forever. It's huge.
Ooh, bold statement. The most important man.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you might call him an anchor being, but you might not.
I mean, he is one. He definitely.
Anyway, what were you saying?
It's sorry. Just a shame that the next two movies for Iron Man were not as good.
Nowhere close. Nowhere
not
close.
Even. No. There are parts in 2 that I like, and there's parts in 2 I hate.
But how does everyone feel about Pepper Potts being the perfect woman?
Well, see,
she's great.
That's the thing that's so fascinating about like the performances in this movie are so good that I did not even think that Pepper Potts is a completely different person from Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think that they're the same human being in any capacity.
Well, because Pepper Potts is the perfect woman. She takes care of you know, Tony. She provides a peaceful home. She makes sure that like he's free to do his mad genius stuff.
Right.
Like, she is the quintessential perfect anti-feminist woman. She's a wonderful character. And then Marvel ruined it.
Well, as they want to do, yes.
Because I think Pepper, I need to rewatch them, but I think like the way she's like Tony, I think kind of realizes how much, like how special. I think that moment was like, you're everything.
Yeah.
It's so good because it's like he realizes, and I think he kind of knew deep down that she was probably too good for him because.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
well, of course she is. Yeah.
That's why he sleeps with that reporter. He's like, I don't like her. She's hot. He knows he could have no emotional attachment to her at all, and that's that.
It's like right after that when they're talking in the garage, and he says, "Why are you trying to rush me out of here? Do you have plans? I don't like it when you have plans." Like, yeah, that says a lot more than what it just says on its base level. Which
it started off her taking care of him, and then by Endgame he was washing dishes in the kitchen. You're like, what the hell, guys? No,
I don't remember that.
What is that?
Yes, it's actually
such crap. Such like they take the perfect woman and they're like, ooh, we're gonna turn it on his head and like, you know, emasculate Tony Stark, who is the most important person in the Marvel universe.
Hands down, he is. No, they had him washing dishes be a crucial plot point because it's by him washing dishes and being bad at it, of course, because he has to be bad at it, that he gets water on a picture that was out of the way, and it was a picture of him and Spider-Man
kitchen over the sink, by the way.
No, I guess it's something that billionaires do.
Important emotional pictures above the sink. Like,
hey, my mentor got snapped into dust. You know, the perfect spot for this is right above the disposal. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
What? He could have been doing anything. Like, I don't know, having a conversation in his den, and like he goes to look out the window and sees the picture and is all like, oh, you know, like washing F you, man.
Yeah.
Piss me off.
What they again, I'll just say this, but without jumping way ahead in game, they should have had his daughter say something that Peter said to him.
Ooh,
you know,
that would have been
right.
Better.
Like, especially like they're like, imagine this. They're putting her to bed and she's saying, you got to go to bed. And she says, I don't want to go. which that's the last thing that Peter said to him before he died in his arms.
Dude,
come on. That would have just like completely torn him apart. And that
or like if
done...
she was downstairs, like they were having a conversation in the living room and she came running down and to hug him, and then Pepper Potts was like, it's time to go upstairs, and she's like, I don't want to go, and he'd be like, son of a
exactly. Yeah. But
I mean, if Pepper's
we'll
great,
get to that movie. God,
Terrence Howard's good. Terrence
Howard is Rhodey, and recasting him was the worst recast in the Marvel universe.
I really liked him as Rhodey.
No, there's so many reasons why. The chemistry between him and Robert Downey Jr. is terrible. The relationship dynamic completely changes. He's just milk toast in it in general. And Terrence Howard is Rhodey. Their relationship is good. They have the chemistry. I mean, they were friends in real life until I don't know what happened. That was I don't know why they recast him. It makes no sense. And that honestly,
didn't he ask for more money than they wanted to pay?
Probably.
I think that was it. I think that was it.
Still would have been worth it. You could have done
that's the thing.
A movie just on him though, because Terrence Howard could have carried that movie.
I would absolutely watch a War Machine movie. Are you kidding me?
What?
It'd be amazing. No, they should have just kept him, because even if he was asking, if he was asking for an absurd amount of money, who cares? Like they didn't. I think it's because they didn't realize what they had just started. Because if they had, like there's a lot of people they wasted more money on than they could have spent on.
But the rumor is that Terrence Howard gave up some money to get Robert Downey Jr. and he did not reciprocate, and that is messed up, man. Because Don Cheadle is disappoint.
Yeah,
that might be the worst cast of the MCU is Don Cheadle.
Damn, I didn't know all that back. See, I don't think Don Cheadle was bad, but I guess I need to.
I mean, that's one person's opinion. I didn't like him. I mean, I think it was a big downgrade. Like, I didn't mind Mark Ruffalo. Like I thought he fit really good as Bruce Banner. Like I did not. I mean, who else did they recast? But Don Cheadle, I was just like, what? You know what? And at first I wanted to like him because I actually like Don Cheadle. I like him on a lot of other stuff, especially Ocean's 11. But I think it was my wife. My wife's like, she's like, and then the more she like complained about it, the more I noticed, like, I'm all, you know what? You're right. You're right.
You know what messed me up was seeing, because I remember and everything that I ever read or watched or whatever for Iron Man, Rhodey was always taller. So when they cast Don Cheadle and he was actually shorter than RDJ, which made Rhodey shorter than Tony, that always felt weird to me, because I'm always used to I mean, they're close in height, but like Rhodey's always just a little bit taller. So when it reversed, I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Huh. And I mean, it didn't make me be like, oh no, Don Cheadle. It just felt, it's one of those things where it's like superficially in the back of my head, I'm like, that's kind of strange.
No, the rabbit hole says it right. He doesn't have the gravitas. Like Terrence Howard had the swagger. So Terrence Howard didn't quite have gravitas, but he had swagger, and and again, because they were such good friends in real life, they really were. I mean, I'm guessing like some of those scenes were just them bantering back and forth, and there's a real chemistry there, and you're like, you get like, yeah, these guys are like really close, and you never feel that in any of the other movies with Don Cheadle. You just never feel that closeness ever again, and it's just awkward. And I don't know, man, like
I bet the entire conversation they had in the plane, they just said to Terrence Howard, act like you're drunk and just say whatever you want.
Dude, I just think that outside of the MCU turn, outside, I think that was the biggest mistake in the Marvel universe, was not recasting Terrence Howard. Like that was just a big mistake by Kevin Feige, who is a giant, also a disappointment. Kevin Feige is more of a disappointment than Don Cheadle as War Machine.
I agree with that. Regardless of how anyone feels about Don Cheadle.
I think, I mean, Terrence Howard was great in this movie. Again, just getting back, I think even the parts was like, Tony, is that you? Like,
yes,
all the chemistry where he's like, he knows Tony, And you know what's another thing I like is there's a lot of jokes in whatever moments, but it doesn't feel like they're waiting for the audience to laugh. They don't feel forced.
No, they don't.
They feel like genuine character moments. Like Tony does something because that's what Tony would do, and that therefore it is humorous. It doesn't feel like we have a formula we need to get. Like, because this movie has very serious moments and it all feels played straight. It doesn't feel like there are jokes in the sense that it makes jokes. It feels like there are characters existing, and therefore funny moments happen, and also serious moments happen. It doesn't feel like God. There were so many moments in other ones where it just kind of like the humor really comes naturally to the story.
Yes.
Like there's one thing about Tony, he's always working, and that shows something about his character. But
the cuts were so good. The cuts made the jokes in a lot of cases because it's exactly like you said, Vaughn. When he says he's always working and he cuts right over to him, that's perfect. They do that again with another thing that you just mentioned, where he's like he's talking to Tony, he's at you, and he's like, "What am I supposed to say?" That there was what do they usually say, that it's a training exercise, and it immediately cuts and he's doing a press conference saying it's a training exercise. Like those are perfect cuts that make the joke. And they don't, and it's exactly like you said. They are not waiting for you to go, to guffaw in the theater. They tell the joke and they keep moving the story along, which it's just so well paced, well acted. And I mean, I could gush about everything else in this movie, but like all of this comes back to the fact that it was an extremely well written script. It had a good plot. It wasn't crazy with like the villain was your standard superhero villain of take the guy and give him, the evil guy version with the powers. But the character work that was the foundation for all that was so solid that I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Ironmonger being evil Iron Man on steroids for this, because everything else that it's hanging on was so solid. It was such a good everything, start to finish.
For sure. I think that was definitely. I mean, the character work really is so solid, and the casting is great. I mean, it really is. What the reporter asked if Pepper was a secretary, and she said no. I just come to take out the trash. That's good. That stuff was good. There were so many great lines. In this movie, and I think it just all flows off the cup. The dialogue feels
like
spectacular.
People, they feel like people saying things to other people and not people who are not actors who are playing pretend with each other.
Well, that's what makes it. I would say arguably, man, I don't know, man. Where do we rank this in the comic book movies of all time?
That's hard.
Top 5.
That's hard to do, but it's.
Man.
I mean, I would have to agree that it's got to be top 5. I mean,
for me, it's number 1. This is the best.
It's really close. Like I'm on depending on which day it is. Honestly, I'm again cards on the table a little bit ahead of schedule. I kind of have it sharing the same space as Winter Soldier in a tie.
Dude, yeah, I knew you were gonna say that because that's me too. Soldier, it depends on the mood, because it's like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier and Iron Man are definitely my top 2, and I think they share that spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Marvel fanboy too. Like, I never really got into DC, so it's my top 5 is mainly Marvel movies and then Superman.
Captain America: Winter Soldier. I don't think I've rewatched it in its entirety since I saw it in theater, which is which is crazy because I have a poster of it in my room.
You told me that. You have to come back on for Winter Soldier then. You have to rewatch it and you have to come back on for that one.
I loved but I remember leaving the theater and I was like, that might be the best one.
I was obsessed with that one. I saw it like 4 times in theaters.
Winter Soldier was so good.
It was great. It was really great. But all right, I digress. So Iron Man and the writing in Iron Man, we've been talking mostly about the character writing, the dialogue, fantastic. But like
the comic relief too. I mean, we already kind of talked about it, but I think one of the things that's so good about this movie, and kind of why sometimes, depending on my mood, it edges out Winter Soldier, is because the comic relief is just on point. And I like a good comic book movie to have a lot of comedy in it. I think It needs to have a lot of comedy in it. Winter Soldier doesn't have a lot of comedy in it. It is a very dark, a very serious movie, which makes it awesome, and I do love it. It's definitely the best Captain America film. It's the best Avenger film.
Yeah.
But the comic relief in this really is just on another level, and the timing of it is so good. It flows. The pacing of it is so good. The flow. They come up in the moments that you need a break and you need to laugh, and that is one of the things that just like the writing in it for the comedy alone is just so good. And I think it's not celebrated enough because it actually is a very funny movie.
It is.
I think
the line that he mentioned is so, it's such a great example of that.
And I think it's also like, even though like this isn't the worst thing you've walked in on me doing, it's such a good, it's such a good line, especially like now that I'm older, because I was a little kid when I saw that, and now I'm like, that's funny. Like because now that I'm older, I'm like, that's good. But it's also like multiple levels, because that's kind of who Tony is as a person. Like he'll downplay something that is serious with the joke. So the underlying serious subtext of it all is still there. You still feel like, oh man, this is a lot, but also you laugh, you feel both. And it works in a way where it doesn't feel like it's undercutting a serious moment for a joke.
Yeah. And you can see, because it's like you said, it's a defining part of Tony's character, but it doesn't get in the way of you seeing the change that he goes through from start to finish, and the seriousness that the serious edge that he takes on after he sees what has happened to people because of Stark Industries. Like, he's still Tony, but you can absolutely still tell that that this has bothered him and he's going to do something about it. There's lots of moments like that. So the fact that they managed to capture that and still keep that sarcasm and that sense of humor, that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement. I mean, they just do so much good. So much is just done right. In this movie, I mean, really,
there's not a lot wrong. I can't even.
No.
Like, for me, I can't even think of anything that I hate about the movie, and usually I can find something that I hate. And this movie, I'm just like, nope. Top to
everything's
bottom,
clear, crystal clear. All the characters, you go, that's something they would do. This character isn't. This is that. It all really works. It's just.
And now I do wonder. I will do full confession. I was never the biggest Iron Man fan of the comic books.
I haven't read. That was going to be my thing. I can't say if it's a great adaptation or not.
I've read a ton of Avengers. I mean, I absolutely love the Avengers. I've read, like pretty much, all the big books, but I've never gotten into Iron Man as its own solo things. However, from everything, from Civil War to, Infinity Wars, Secret Wars and stuff, I feel like they captured the character of Tony Stark that I've read in all the other books and all the other Avenger books.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the other reason why I think it's the best adaptation, comic book movie out there, is because from what I have read, again, from, all the other stuff, it's just and it's like, there's no better cast than Robert Downey Jr. And when you go through the list of people they were considering, you're like, dude, this movie would not have done as
RDJ
well or be as good if they did not get and that they cast him because of Terrence Howard. That's the crazy thing that no one really knows is the story behind it, is that Terrence Howard is the one that, because I think Robert Downey Jr. wanted to do this role and they were friends, and Marvel was like, no, we can't, because there was a lot of gray clouds over Robert Downey Jr. because of his his drug convictions and his prison time. And Terrence Howard is the one that got him in there, and that's why it was such a shame that he didn't go to the mat for his buddy for the second.
Yeah, I get it.
For the second film.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. The reason why I know that is because I was working in entertainment advertising. I was actually working at an ad agency when they were working on the movie poster. I was working in the digital department, like the web marketing and stuff. So I unfortunately did not get to work on the movie poster, but it was in the shop that I was working at, and it was really cool to just see everything. as it was being created, and I couldn't wait. But you would hear the stories. We always get the trades, Variety Magazine and stuff, and be in on the news. And I remember that being a thing. It was like RDJ Jr. is getting tapped, and there was like, "Ooh, what's going on?"
See, this was my first RDJ movie. It was my first for a lot of stuff because again, I was 8 years old when this came out.
Right.
You should see Less Than Zero because it'll destroy you.
I should see Less Than Zero.
Yeah, it's Robert Downey Jr.'s best movie.
All right.
Well, I wanted to say something about the plot, but I actually want to ask you a question, Salty, following up what you just said about being in the marketing advertising. This was the first big thing I think for RDJ coming back after all that stuff. It was the launch of the Marvel Studios, their first thing, because everything up to that point had been Fox or whatever, Universal.
Sony.
So this was their first thing as Marvel Studios. So I was wondering, like, from a marketing and advertising perspective, with those things in mind, and this being like a launch of what they wanted to be a whole cinematic universe, like how would you approach marketing that, and what would you do to like get people hyped about it with things being so different from what they've done in the past and with an actor like that?
Wait, so what was the question? Sorry, there was a lot in there.
Sorry, yeah. So
I'm kind of retarded, so you got to go slow.
So, like, from a marketing perspective, like, what would you do to market that, to advertise that, with those things being, first, or being like the first big thing with RDJ back? Like, how would that be any factor at all, or what would you do as part of the marketing for things like that?
That's a good question. So I think so back in 2008, you definitely market it different than you would market it today. I think marketing it today, you definitely would lean into RDJ Jr.'s past and it kind of being like his biggest role since being in prison, and since, it's his comeback, and you would definitely lean into that. I don't think they wanted to lean into that in 2008. It was a much different time.
People were talking about it a lot. I had never heard of Robert Downey Jr., but everyone was like, this is his comeback. He had a really hard time. And
they would talk about it in the trades, but it definitely was not part of, I don't remember or recall it being part of the marketing campaign. I think the marketing campaign really... So if I'm the creative director and I'm coming up with a marketing campaign for this in 2008, I'm leaning heavily on it. I'm leaning heavily on it being a comic book movie. I would really lean heavily on the fan base, especially knowing what I have. Like, if I, especially if I'm Kevin Feige and I'm like, I know that this is like the best adaptation we've done. I would lean heavily on the name power and recognition of Marvel, even though it had its financial issues. The fact that Marvel's finally doing its own movie was kind of a big deal. I would have leaned heavily on that. And I really would have leaned heavily on just the story in general. And so meaning, like, basically, like, I would have especially back in 2008, movie posters did a lot, carried a lot, and so did websites. And so I would have put a lot into just a really cool interactive website, probably using Flash, and just badass movie posters, which is what they did.
The movie poster is good.
Yeah.
I mean, it has the floating heads, but it works.
Well, it didn't just have the floating heads. It had a lot of different. They had a lot. If you go to IMP Awards, you'll be able to see like all the different movie posters from any movie. They have them all listed out, and then the different animation houses.
Yeah, I'm looking at my Winter Soldier poster. Like, I like the movie, but I don't think the poster anything's right.
Yeah, the posters one is good. Crew Creative, which is where I was working, actually had the best Iron Man posters. But yeah, I would lean into that, and then it would be as far as like, the other marketing would be just trying to get as many articles written as possible. I probably would have tried to get an article written in Huffington Post and Variety Magazine, some of the different trades like that. That was basically marketing in the 2000s with movies, man. Other than the interview circuit, getting on Entertainment Tonight and Extra. But the world I was in, it would have just been the best movie posters you could make, the best outdoor campaign, because people used to pay attention to billboards. Billboards were like a kind of a big thing, even in 2008. And then, your website presence, because, I mean, let's face it, social media was a thing, but wasn't really.
It wasn't. Right? It wasn't what it is now at all.
I mean, that's kind of how I would have just marketed it as like, this is a big epic comic book movie. Marvel's, basically big foray into movies. This is going to be a great movie and try to play that up. And I would have almost been a little bit of tongue in cheek to this isn't going to disappoint you like Fox and Universal and Sony has.
Yeah, I mean, that could be good. I think, again,
because they disappointed.
One of the things that I really liked about this too was, again, I vividly remember conversations. This is his comeback movie. Like I remember that was huge.
Well, that was that wasn't the big. That was the marketing. That was the
people. But I think
that was the gossip columns and stuff, right? Which could have been part of the marketing strategy. Actually, I mean, they could have been like, "Hey, I wanted to talk about it."
My point is that naturally happened and led to people going to see the movies. Let's see it. I remember everyone was raving about this when this first came out. That movie was awesome. It was, and I'm rewatching it again. It's great when I rewatch a movie and I'm like, it's still good. It's still good. It's really good. Especially now that I'm writing my own superhero stories. I'm like, I'm seeing kind of some of what I pulled from even here, that they had kind of something about this era of superhero movies. They really were great at origin stories. I mean, okay, there were some misfires.
Sure.
But they had a formula. But this movie, it did it better than all the others. And I think we also got to talk about the design of the Iron Man suit. I mean, it pops. The colors pop too.
Yeah.
Like they're able to have still the gray, or the I don't know what to describe it, the color palette in the desert, right? Not gray, but the brown.
No, but I mean, that was the art direction, and that was so good because
they really sticks out.
They really, that was by design. They really considered the suit. They wanted the suit to be a star. That's why so many of the movie posters feature the suit.
Yeah.
It features RDJ in some of them because he was a big name and was a big draw. And obviously they leaned into that, which was smart to do. But also they wanted to make the suit its own character. And they did that with the art direction, which was really great because every shot that you see the Iron Man suit, it is, even with the desert where it's like it's going to be a lot of warm color, it's a warm color palette. They set it where it's almost like they grayed it out so much to where he pops on that as well. And that was you could just tell by design, like the big fight scene at night, the bad guy is dark against a dark background and he's fighting, this bright red, yellow, Iron Man, which really is such great contrast, but that's why it looks so good because they were like, it pops so well because they're like cool background, warm colors. It was the art direction and cinematography is fantastic in this film. It puts everything before it. Like you think about like we can talk about like, oh, this was good, that was good, but not before it. Like not before it, the only other movie that's like, oh, that was such a cool movie and kind of put everyone on notice that comic books could be great movies was Batman, Tim Burton's Batman. Other than that, it was like Superman back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like this, like, because Spider-Man, I'm sorry, disappointing. X-Men,
what? First Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie is my number one.
Disappointing.
What?
The most offensive thing ever in life is that they made him a what the webbing? Like you're taking one of the coolest characteristics of Peter Parker and you're like, we're taking that away and giving him mutant power. No, F that crap. It's a disappointment. I don't care what anyone says. Tom Holland is a much better Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire is the lamest Peter Parker.
That is bullshit.
Lamest Peter Parker ever in life.
Tom Holland is the worst one.
No, he's the best one.
No, he's not. He doesn't even have an Uncle Ben.
Well, no.
Which is literally character breaking. And then they're like 6 movies in, they go, well,
so I'm not saying the movies are better. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying the movies are better. Performance-wise, when you get introduced to Spider-Man and Civil War, that's the best Peter Parker. That's the best Peter Parker.
You're entitled to your opinion.
I know, and I'm right because when you read the comic books, you're like, "Oh, dude, that's like
these ones."
Tobey Maguire is like, "Yeah, dude, come on, no, you don't see that." I see it. I just thought Tobey Maguire was disappointing. Disappointing.
I think. Listen, I don't think they've nailed the character's sense of humor quite yet. In
the movies, no, I would agree. Like the movies,
I don't think we've had a perfect Spider-Man.
No, absolutely 100%
No.
true.
Same
I
with
think the
Batman.
closest that it's ever gotten is in Civil War, which is sad because it's not a Spider-Man movie. It's Captain America.
Like, even
No,
again,
I think so.
I don't
he's
want
annoying
to
in Civil
digress
War.
too much, but even the Spider-Man movies in the MCU aren't Spider-Man movies.
They're not at all.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's
they're
like
not
I really liked Far From Home, and then I was like thinking about it more and more, and I'm like, is that
That's the thing about Far From Home. The more you think about it, the more you make that face. Whereas
like,
it
yeah,
goes from
the more I think, I
to-
really liked it in theaters, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, but that's not Spider-Man. That's not. I'm like, I was excusing a lot of stuff that is.
But he could be the best Spider-Man to ever sling a web, and the problems in the writing of that film would cripple that.
Spider-Man Far From Home is like getting Taco Bell, but then you don't eat it right away. You drive home and you get stuck in traffic. So like 30 minutes later, then you eat the Taco Bell. That's Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah.
That's such a beautifully horrible.
See, because I think like a lot of what they do with Mysterio is really cool.
Yeah,
but
it's the best Mysterio movie they've ever had.
All right, so back to RDJ. So how do we feel? How do we feel about Robert Downey Jr. being cast as Doctor Doom, and why is it not acceptable in any to have him as Doctor Doom unless it's an alternative multiverse movie where he is Tony Stark who does a heel, becomes Doctor Doom instead of it being
I
Victor Von
forgot.
Doom.
He's in the Fantastic Four movie, right?
I don't get it. Like I don't. So
I think it's a fake out.
I hope so.
I hope that what it is, honestly, I hope that it's a multiverse movie, which I don't like the multiverse thing because it's
cringe.
Especially as a movie, it doesn't work. As movies, it doesn't work. It doesn't really work as comics, but I get why they do it for comics, right? You can get more comics out there, blah, blah, whatever. Different
But
stories.
you should use it sparingly. You need to use and they don't do that.
And
anymore.
I wrote a time travel book. I'm all about time travel. So I literally wrote a book on time travel. It's not multiverse. But the only thing that's acceptable for Robert Downey Jr. to be Doctor Doom is if he's Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Alternate universe, a what if scenario with the Fantastic Four cast that's going to be in the Fantastic Four movie. So this movie sets that story up. And then it I don't know, somehow multiverse streams back into the correct timeline. It's the only acceptable thing because if he's Victor Von Doom, I'm done. I will be done with the Marvel universe, and I'm a Marvel fanboy, and I will be done.
I just don't ever want to see Doctor Doom's face, and I don't understand why you would cast RDJ if you're not going to have him taking the mask off.
Right?
Why do that?
I mean, can you not screw up the cast of one of the coolest villains in the Marvel universe? Now it's going to be twice that you screw up Doctor Doom because the first time, oh my gosh. Could you not get the boyfriend from Charm to be Doctor Doom? Oh no, you got the boyfriend from Charm to be Doctor Doom.
He had one job.
Good Lord, guys.
Well, hey,
could have got Ralph Fiennes. You could have got Anthony Hopkins.
What's worse? The original, the Fox Fantastic Four Doctor Doom, or the Fan Four Stick Doctor Doom? Which
I didn't see Fan Four Stick. I was in theaters.
Is that bad? I haven't even.
I was in theaters and I was gonna go, and then
Wait,
none
what's
of my
the Fan
friends wanted to go, and I was like, "Do I want to go?"
What's
the Fan Four Stick? What's the Fan
Four Stick? All right, because if you look at the
what's his
logo
name?
for that
Josh Trank? Is it Josh Trank's movie?
It's because if you look at the logo for the movie, it's
Let me pull it up. Hang on.
All right, so people call it because I said this on a stream the other day and someone else didn't get it. I'm glad you got it right away.
Yes.
I thought it was the common joke because everyone I thought was calling it Fan Four.
Yeah, it's Fan Four Stick. I don't care what anyone says.
What?
I've never
is
not.
that
I come to think of it, I don't think I ever call it Fantastic Four. I think
is that the one with Michael B. Jordan as the
Yes.
And what's his name? Plays Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. What's his name? Yeah.
Which is he's in the better Footloose, by the way. That is the better Footloose, the one that Miles Teller is. I said it, guys. The modern remake Footloose is the better Footloose.
I haven't seen either, but even I know that's a hot take.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Here we go. Fan Four Stick. Let's see.
Here we go. Fan Four Stick.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a bad poster.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
The thing is, like,
Miles Teller doesn't even look like Miles Teller. Those head
Dude,
strips
none of
are
those-
really bad. Those head strips are really well. I'm going to tell you guys a little secret about movie posters. So oftentimes, what you see in a movie poster is you'll see, because especially nowadays, because the budgets are so low for the marketing on these films, they used to like, dude, poster houses used to make, like, we're talking sometimes upwards to 6 figures per poster, and the budgets have completely gone to like, oh, we're gonna pay you like 5,000 for a poster.
Dude, the Thunderbolts poster had like 6 fingers.
Yeah, but what they'll do, well, it's because they're going to use a lot of AI now. But what they're doing is these are all head strips, so they probably took like really bad shots of their body, or they got a body double to take the photograph of them, in the costume, and then from the film or a publicity shot, put the head on top of the actress's body. Like when I did movie posters for Underworld 4, I think, like Bloodlust or something, and we had the stunt double doing all these like maneuvers on a trampoline, like taking shots with guns on the trampoline and stuff, and then we were like head stripping Kate Beckinsale's face on her body. It was like just, and that's why they always like kind of look odd now.
Trailers like that. That's all. I mean, posters. That's awesome.
Yeah, I used to do movie posters.
Oh, he's not just here for his charming personality. He's also here for his insight.
Why don't I was
Yeah, man. I used to work on this stuff.
Change is coming. That's a threat, by the way.
Dude, that's such a terrible that's such a that's not like intriguing.
Well, what that is it's trying to let you know that like Michael B. Jordan deserves to be here because that was going to be controversial. And that's the change. And that's the thing is like they make these dumb choices thinking that it's going to be like good marketing, and then they'd go, oh, it's not being received well. Well, it's because you're all racist. Like that's gonna, and then they try to guilt you into saying, well, you better see the movie or you're racist.
They do that a lot, and it's the same thing. There were no excuses in the writing of Iron Man. Getting back to that, they had no thing to follow on. If the movie wasn't good, it wasn't good. They needed to make a quality movie because an entire cinematic universe is launching on. And it gets back to like, I remember my mentality with my first comic Phenomena was like, I have to get one character right, one character's origin. Then I get the privilege of working on 2 and 3. And it really forces you to, I think when you kind of go, yeah, these guys will get the money. Yeah, we'll just put whatever characters in there. And you get a couple of those, you get a little cocky and you go, yeah, I mean, like,
you mean you didn't want to do Phenomenova 2 and just introduce a bunch of different characters that make no sense in the story and just like keep throwing characters at you because you're like, what do any of these characters even mean when they keep showing up in your second run up to your book? What?
No, I put 2 new ones in the second and then a bunch in the third, a ton in the third. So I do kind of do it in the third, but I think I do.
But you had the gentlemanly decency to at least wait 3 issues.
That's okay. Well, in my first book ever, I just introduced like 3 characters. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, the point is they make it work because they get the one character right in all and everyone is a supporting character. You don't have to.
He's not bumping up against anybody else.
Like
there's elbow room for Tony, and everybody is there around Tony.
And everyone plays off each other so well. Obadiah Stane there's that one part where I think the almost the most intimidating he's ever is in the movie is that scene with the laptop. I think it's the most intimidating.
Yeah. That's a really great scene
because it feels like, again, real.
Yeah.
Well, what I love about it though is like all we know about this guy is he's a freaking executive suit, And I think that the character design is really, really good because of the way they dress him. It's probably the most fit that Jeff Bridges has looked since Tron, the first Tron.
Yeah.
And the shaved head and beard, man, that works for white guys as being intimidating. I know because when I started shaving my head, I got treated a lot differently when I would be out in public. As when I was, obviously holding on to things that I shouldn't have been holding on to, my hair. But he's not this big presence of like violence or like a physical presence, but he is. And then when he walks into that office, and I think it's really because they're doing the Hitchcock thing too. They're focusing in on her Gwyneth Paltrow's facial expression, and
Yeah.
she does a really good job of making you, because right then and there you're supposed to be in her shoes, and she's so like, he's gonna murder me, and you're like, he's gonna murder her. And it's,
since
it's
she's
just,
likable,
it's just so
we don't
good.
want her to be murdered.
Yeah, exactly. Since she's
Yeah.
the best female character so far in the Marvel universe, because she is a proper woman, where she takes care of her man and brings peace to his home, and sorry, I'm sexist, by the way, so
I'm actually delighted. I didn't expect anyone to advocate for Pepper Potts being the Proverbs woman, and that's kind of
Dude, I mean, she's the perfect woman. Not Scarlett Johansson, not freaking what's her name, the ant lady, the wasp.
Wasp?
Girl Ant-Man. Girl Ant-Man. Yes.
The ant lady. Sorry. It's Pepper Potts, man. First Iron Man film, most perfect woman in the Marvel universe, right there.
Yeah, I mean, she was great, man. She was really good in this movie. I think, yeah, I mean, just the way they got her, and also getting back to like having that, because again, with that reporter that she is you're Berkeley, whatever, and then she sleeps with the guy right away, and he keeps asking the questions. The way they kind of play off of her, I don't think they would have written that character that way today either.
No.
And it's funny because she has redeeming qualities. That blonde chick, she does.
Yes.
She's not like she's not.
I'm glad they brought her back. Actually,
yes. Me too. That she wasn't just a one-off. I was surprised. I forgot how prominent she was until I was rewatching. I was like, I remembered that one scene. I was like, oh yeah, I remember her coming back. I was like, oh, she keeps coming. She's a big character. I was like almost remembering. I'm like, oh yeah, they don't get together in the first movie, do they? Iron Man and Tony. But it works because he's like about to have it. It's like you messed it up, but it's not like it's never gonna happen. It's like,
well, they're actually making you like want it. Cheer for it.
He has to earn it, kind of like how he has to earn his changes. And again, it really sets up. You can understand
because they didn't run from romance in the early MCU. Like they weren't like, I don't know why they're so scared of it. Like a real romance, not Doctor Strange is depressed because he can't have
the first movie he had great chemistry with. I was thinking literally that was the first example. The first Doctor Strange, they had great chemistry, him and
they did.
Her, and then it was like, oh, I guess she just gets married off. Okay.
I guess she just doesn't care, and he's just like, yeah, I'm the sorcerer now. That's it. And then you watch through that stupid movie,
cucked,
and then he runs into incel serial killer Doctor Strange, and it's like, okay, we're going some places I didn't think we were going to go with this series, but all right, whatever.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, you had Tony and Pepper, I think, were great, and again, Tony really earns his change, and now he has to he almost doesn't really care what anyone else thinks because he's so narrow focused.
Yeah.
And
I when I was rewatching this, I was really trying to look for, mistakes or plot errors and stuff. And some people point out, well, why didn't I even tried to use Chat GPT to summarize like plot holes and stuff in case there were things that I missed, like see if there were people that brought things up. And I really could not find anything, even when I was trying to get summaries, because like a lot of the stuff that people will bring up, well, he would have used, why didn't he just use the paralyzing thing and kill Tony? Because he doesn't want to murder somebody.
Because it would have ended the movie, asshole. Sometimes things happen because you got to move the thing on.
Wait. What was your explanation, though? I want to hear it.
Okay. First off, my explanation is everyone shave your neck, okay, so that you don't ask stupid questions and you can just enjoy things in life. That's number one. Make sure your necks are shaved. Number two is like sometimes people like when you like watch murder mysteries, or in real life, criminals are dumb. Criminals
are dumb.
So why ask why? Just enjoy the show. It only gets bad when the story doesn't make sense. Like you can always explain certain things. Like Obadiah Stane didn't want to have blood on his hands. He thought he had him defeated. Yeah. He thought very little of Tony Stark. He wasn't intimidated by Tony Stark. He thought he was, could beat him and then he would just go, crawl into a bottle probably. Like who knows? Who cares?
Well, I live to ask those questions because I think when we can answer it with a good answer, that's how we know, hey, You don't. It wasn't just your gut feeling that this was good writing. You can analyze it, and this is good writing.
True.
And so, like, you can look at like Obadiah Stane. Why didn't he kill Tony himself? Because why would he want to kill Tony himself? He wants him dead, but he doesn't want to do the dirty work. He doesn't want to kill him. He's like you said before. He's an executive at a
well, also he thought he
company.
killed him, right?
He thought he did, but he thought that he did the nice, neat and tidy way, where it's overseas. I have nothing to do with it. I called to check on him. I was worried.
Well, I'm talking about
him.
when he pulls out, his arc. What's it called? The arc
reactor. Yeah.
His little mini arc reactor. When he pulls out that, he believes that he's killing him.
He thinks he's dead, exactly. But in a way that he can't be, like, he didn't murder him.
Yeah, he didn't.
Like,
He didn't.
he died from cardiac arrest.
But I don't even think he like physically touches Tony at all. Like he
uses the thing, right? So
so I think there wouldn't be like a fingerprint, and even then,
right.
have some of his company men take. So yeah, I think it's a fairly clean kill.
But you can look at, but my point being, you can look at the behavior of Obadiah Stane, and his behavior is logical and consistent for Obadiah Stane. He doesn't suddenly, like, it would be weird if you watch 75% of Iron Man, and then in the final part of the movie, he runs in with a Glock, and he just starts shooting sideways at Tony, saying, "Give me the arc reactor." That would be really weird. That would be really inconsistent.
He's like super thug.
There is one thing I do think is inconsistent, because I was kind of like, well, does it really make sense for this character to put on the suit? And I guess because he's in a situation where it's like he has to kill these guys, so there's no witnesses, right? Or is that is that it?
Yeah. No, I think you're right that, like, there's not really a good reason for him to do it when everything up to that point he's been using proxies and stuff. The only reason, like, if I was going to try and write that for the film, like his motivation without him explicitly stating it, I would think that at that point he is so angry at Tony Stark for everything that Tony Stark and Pepper Potts and everybody else has, because he threatens Pepper at that point too, and I think that once he's in the suit and everything else, he could probably have plausible deniability. Oh, well, I don't know who the pilot was. It's not piloted, blah, blah, blah.
Well, because they were trying to play off the fact that Tony Stark was in the Iron Man suit as like that was his bodyguard doing
right.
That,
Yeah.
He would have done the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it was, I think that you're right in that, Vaughn, in that that's probably the thinnest as far as plot contrivances and conveniences that they use, because they just want him to be the big bad. I think that you're probably right about that. I think that that being said, you can look at his behavior leading up to that and say, I can kind of see it happening. So I think that's probably the weakest part of the film. But if that's the weakest part of it, it still did pretty dang good.
Well, there is one thing. The one thing I kind of didn't buy is when he takes the family and he's like going to smack. I'm like,
oh yeah.
That's why I do think that it's like, I do think that, because I'm thinking about it now when you say that, and then coupled with that, I think the third act definitely has some weaknesses.
Yeah.
What, you think that's a weakness that he did that?
I think it's, he like really, as he sees couples and he goes collateral damage. And
collateral damage, Tony.
Because he has shit on his suit, right?
Well, no, I think that actually what that is that's a character defining moment of just how little he thinks of humanity.
That's a good argument. Yeah.
That they're expendable. Like he will do what he needs to do in order to attain power, achieve his goals, and something as sweet and innocent and pure as a family. Where was the dad, by the way? But
hold on a second.
I think that is a very this guy's bad. You actually, what that does is that sets up that it's okay to kill him. That's what that does. That scene says to the audience that anything that happens to this guy after the fact is okay because he's this evil.
Yeah, I think you touched on something brilliant there, because it actually brings something to the film that a lot of people don't realize, that there are a lot of people in really high positions that do look at body counts and deaths and they just say, well, it's just collateral damage.
Anthony Fauci. Oh, wait, I can say it now. What, Trump's president, Anthony Fauci? Yeah.
It's just collateral damage. It doesn't matter. Minimal acceptable losses. They'll use things like that.
In the Marvel universe, where do you rank Obadiah Stane in the villain category? Like, where does he line up with the,
He's pretty
with the
good.
villains?
Again, as Ironmonger, we only have the one fight. Also, he says it earlier in the film. I forgot about that. He goes, "We're
ironmongers. Yeah, we sell weapons. Yeah.
So Ironmonger.
So okay, here's the thing.
I do think, I think him putting on the suit. I do have some questions, so I don't think that's perfect, but it works.
Obadiah, I would actually Obadiah Stane is a bad guy, and I want to say that he is a bad guy. He is a villain, but by the time that I'm going to get through the end of the MCU, I will argue that Obadiah Stane is more morally righteous than Scarlet Witch and Black Widow. Because of their films. I will absolutely
Scarlet Witch, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
Black Widow caused an avalanche and killed every single guard and prisoner serving their sentence in a prison to break out one guy who is completely irrelevant in Black Widow, the solo
I haven't
film.
seen that movie, to be honest.
I haven't seen it either, Vaughn. I haven't seen it either. I have not seen any Marvel movie after Endgame other than the Disney Plus shows. Is that make me a terrible?
I've avoided a lot, and I can't do that anymore now that I started this.
Man, I'm
Dude,
like,
good luck. Hope your head
I know. Pray
Dude,
for me.
it's MCU superhero fatigue, though. It's because superheroes.
I don't know. I don't think it's superhero fatigue.
I'm joking. That's joking. I'm writing a superhero comic, dude. I don't think they're superhero fatigue.
I didn't hear the sarcasm. I didn't hear the sarcasm.
It's clearly just that people hate this entire.
They just hate ass writing. That's what it is.
No,
no,
it's not just that.
They're
It's not
sick
just that.
of white men in power.
Yeah. Okay, I heard the sarcasm there. I heard the sarcasm.
Rich white men like Tony Stark, and he needed to get killed.
Rich white men save your life, motherfuckers.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's really, this movie is actually really very emblematic because it's just two rich white men.
I mean, I look at it as it foretells the future of Donald Trump versus Joe Biden.
That's what I mean. You could view this
I
when people say everything is political. I'm like, no, you just have that mindset where you view everything through that lens.
Yeah, my favorite part was when Ironmonger picked up the car and he said "collateral damage, corn pop," and he dropped it right on.
If people think
Tony
that
Stark.
if people
really cool.
hate politics and hate politics in their fiction, they're really gonna hate my comic book Silence Do Good, which goes hard. I don't know, Jared. You read it. Does it go hard? It goes hard.
I don't think so.
I mean,
because
everything's tongue in cheek. So Vaughn, I am all about injecting my politics, which are the correct politics, into my fiction. And I do it pretty, I think even-handedly. I don't know. Pretty much, it's not going to be woke, and it's also you're going to pretty much know who I voted for by the end of it.
Well, it's like I told you,
should vote for them too
when we were talking about it, and I would say this as an endorsement, 100%. It reminds me of like the stuff that I love about Star Trek, and Star Trek never shied away from politics, but the way that Star Trek dealt with politics is it always presented them in a way that was like it treated you like a person. It didn't beat you over the head with it. And that's one of the things I love about Star Trek. And I personally felt like that when I was reading through your book. I didn't feel like at any point you were just like, I didn't feel like that. I felt like you were walking people through your belief system in a respectful way.
People should inject their belief systems into their fiction because it is who you are. Your belief system is it's where you come from. It's what you've been through. It's what you experience on the day-to-day. You just have to be able to be a good enough writer to be able to write from other perspectives.
Yeah.
Because you need other characters to have the perspectives to react to the story that you're trying to tell. Which is basically my views are correct and everyone else that disagrees is wrong.
Right. Of course.
I think, putting your values, but I don't think that always equates to politics.
No. In fact, I mean, I'm joking really mainly. I definitely think that, I love my favorite writer and creator in the world. Jared knows this is Tolkien. I obsess about Tolkien. I know more about Tolkien than I knew about any comic book that's ever been written. And that guy injected his values and didn't really inject his politics. And
Right.
I'm the same. Like C.S. Lewis, another one of my favorite authors, and that's like I think it's like in Iron Man, and we'll bring it back to Iron Man. There's a whole value system in there, and the writers. I think the writers, and I don't even know who the writers are. I probably should have looked that up before we started this.
Too.
Injected their values, and I'm like, your values are my values.
Yeah.
I don't even care if your politics differ. I bet we could probably find a lot of common ground.
Yeah.
And also, you're probably wrong if you've ever voted for a Democrat. But we could have that conversation.
But the point is that the values are what matter, and it's like,
yeah,
Iron Man didn't value human life, and now he does.
Yes.
Do you care if he voted differently after that? It doesn't fucking matter,
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and that's why it is. Maybe
if you like, that's
one
the
of the
thing.
best.
If he voted left or right, if you knew Tony Stark and he came to you and he said, "I built something that's being used to kill people that I meant to protect. Will you help me?" You'd say, "Hell yeah!" And it doesn't matter.
And that's again where it comes from. It's and it doesn't feel, and it felt like. Just everything was so human. Again, I keep using the word human because it's a comic book movie that didn't shy away from the comic bookiness. Again, you have this bright costume. I'm gonna say this is the best Iron Man suit, although I do like the triangle 1 and 2. But I don't like the nanotech.
Why didn't they do square or octagon or hexagon though? You know what I mean? Like they were like.
I want to piggyback off of what you said.
I don't like the nanotech.
And I hate the nano shit so much.
Oh,
it feels so good seeing
fun.
like the helmet, like the real helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so satisfying.
That's so cool.
Like a knight, because it's a knight. Because it feels like it's a knight from the days of yore.
Yeah.
And we have like almost a spiritual connection to knighthood and knights and all that because of all the fantasy that we grew up reading before, before, or all the fantasy that was written before they started doing superhero stuff. And that brings, it's like Tony Stark is like the Lancelot character. He's in the suit of armor and he's the playboy and he's the pretty guy, but he's also the guy that's like, F it, man. I'm going to risk it all to defeat a guy that would totally destroy a single mom and her kids. Where was the dad, guys? Where was the dad?
Well, that is, again, I mean, you make the point, like, that is the moment where I'm like, oh my God, he would go that far.
Yeah, because Obadiah Stane is very low on the villain, best villains in the Marvel Universe, but also is kind of high because Jeff Bridges' acting makes that character really good.
He did really make the character. You're right about that.
Jeff Bridges, the dude, then becomes Obadiah. And I'm wearing my, I don't know if you guys noticed yet, but in honor of Jeff Bridges, I was wearing this sweater tonight because,
I got my Iron Man t-shirt on, so
the dude abides.
Nice. Yeah, that was going back and seeing it after seeing it as Obadiah Stane, going back and watching The Big Lebowski was very different. Because I saw it in reverse order, you guys did.
Yeah. Well, you are a young one. You are a young one.
Again, I was 8 years old.
Well, so back to the thing though, like, okay, so the politics of the film. Remember, this is 2008. This is the height of Obama's campaign.
Obama fever.
Coming off the end of one of the worst presidents in American history, George W. Bush. You're like, it's kind of funny when you look at it because you're like, I worked in Hollywood. I was in knee deep in Hollywood in 2008, and everything is like all Obama. Obama's the best thing ever. George W. Bush is evil. And I'm a guy that's like born and raised in Los Angeles who doesn't think George W. Bush is that evil and knows that the Democrats are the worst thing ever because they ruin everything that they touch. And then watching it again in 2025, knowing George W. Bush is one of the most evil people on the face of the earth and a terrible president and a war criminal. And also Obama is one of the worst presidents ever. Just seeing this movie in a completely different light, where Tony Stark is the Elon Musk and Obadiah Stane is the Uniparty. And
again, see, that's you have to inject that though. That's my point. That's not
no, you totally no, absolutely. I'm completely injecting it. That's why I'm saying, like in the beginning when we were talking, I'm like, the movie actually isn't that political at all.
Yeah, it's really not. It's very human, which I've said that probably 500,000 times.
Yeah, exactly. That's not one of the official movie posters.
No, but it was in the movie, and I enjoyed that as a hilarious reference to Obama's
Was it in the
poster.
movie? Or
It was in Iron Man 2.
second?
It was
Yeah,
in Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Because I was
Yeah.
like, I
Not in
watched
this
it
one,
last
though.
night with my wife.
Yeah.
And we were watching, and she's like, seriously? They recast Terrence Howard? What the hell? And I'm like, I know. What? You've convinced me.
Terrence Howard is so good. The movie,
Yeah.
and the next time, baby, I'm like,
Oh, I know.
I know, and then it never happens.
Oh, it hurts, man. It hurts even.
No,
when
it
you
hurts
watch
Because
it.
Don Cheadle is that bad. I'm sorry. When he crashes and loses the use of his legs, I don't even feel bad because I don't want you there.
wow.
Like, I don't even care. Could he die and we bring Terrence Howard to come to no? Wait, we still
Terrence
get Don
Howard is in a
Cheadle.
different multiverse. He's in a different, yeah. he's
Dude,
a
in
different
the
timeline.
multiverse, Terrence Howard is Rhodey, and everything's good. Can we do? Oh, okay. See, you got to bring me back for more movies because there's so many of the movies I want to talk about, bro.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I was just talking with my wife tonight about the biggest. You know what you should do? We should do a stream about, and Vaughn has to come back for this because I would love to have this conversation where it's like, or we can have it now. The biggest missed opportunities for Marvel in this whole whole run.
That would be a good stream, yeah.
Especially like after Endgame, where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you didn't want to do House of M? No House of M? Oh, missed opportunity.
Yeah. You know what I thought, and I know that they were never going to do this. So I've talked about this on many streams. My favorite character is probably Spider-Man and Spider-Girl together because I love the way that he passes the mantle on to his blood, his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Endgame happens, I was thinking, how cool would it be if Ironheart is Morgan Stark, the little girl from Endgame? Of course, they were never going to do that because it has to be Riri Williams. But like that was like I was thinking, man, if you want to pass the mantle,
why not? They rewrote everything else.
Yeah, I know.
Well, she's
I know.
5 years old.
But if you want to pass the mantle of Iron something onto another character, then it should have been Morgan Stark.
The 5-year-old?
Yeah, you just fast forward to like 16
you
years
don't
old.
right away,
Well,
obviously.
then everyone
Yeah,
else
but
has to be older.
I mean, but look at the fact that we went from Cassie being 8 in Ant-Man to suddenly being an adult running around with building microscopes.
Dude,
and
so like that was the thing is like
WrestleMania or whatever.
So we got
it was called.
we got a 5-year span from the cutest kid in the MCU to like she's like 16 or 18 years old.
All of a sudden,
like, wait, this is 5 years. Wait, she should be 12. I'm bad at
I don't know
math.
how that happened.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
So no, she's like 18. She looks like she's going for freshman year in college.
And but here's my point. Here, let me pull up Avengers Endgame. Okay, Endgame was 2019, right? We're already 6 years past that. So my whole point was let Iron Man be dead for a while, and then when it's time to bring in, an Iron Man character again, that's when you bring her in. And you don't bring her in like the way that you don't bring her in like the shit way that you bring in people like Captain Marvel, where it's like, hey guys, I'm here too. Haha. You bring her in like an Avenger, like you brought in the Avengers.
Yeah.
You actually write a character arc like you did in this movie. You actually write like Captain America, like Thor, like Hulk, people who actually go through some shit and develop as characters instead of just coming in, swinging their junk around and being the bad boss bitch. You actually make her a character, and then you can relate to her as from the audience perspective because you know who she is, and she's been in this since Endgame.
But now they ruined it because you
Yes,
can't
they did.
have a female doing that role because
no, you can't.
Of all the trying with all the terrible women, all the trying.
It's actually astonishing how badly they write women. It's actually
they can't write women.
It's
I don't know what it is in general. So in general, okay, not just the MCU, but like Hollywood in general.
You're
cannot write
exactly
women.
right. Yeah,
Because
cannot.
like, oh my gosh, Rings of Power. Could you not make her a freaking terrible feminine man? Like, I was wondering if you could not make him her a terrible feminine man.
Just use whatever
Like,
pronoun, just
can't,
freestyle.
Oh yeah, the most powerful,
Boomer,
one of the
whatever.
most powerful characters in Middle Earth. No, you're gonna make her a pouty guy in armor. You know, like,
yeah.
what are you even talking about? And it's like every girl, like that. So the only way that they write women is they write them as emotional, bratty men.
Yeah.
All of Hollywood, every time it's a woman, she's a hero. She's emotional, bratty man.
That's
that
why
is
I
really
started
just a
getting-
villain. Just a villain.
That's why I started getting concerned when like Amy showed up, and I'm like, the more I'm thinking about it with like the fourth Sonic, because they've nailed everyone, and I'm like, I literally don't think they can write a woman. I think they could write some, like, okay, like Maddie, the female character, like the human female character, is actually good in the Sonic movies, but like, I don't know what it is. Like, do they not talk to women? Because I can't figure it out. They literally
Well, like no, but contrast that to the women and let's go ahead a little bit. Iron Man 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Even though there are deep problems with 2 and 3, right? The Pepper Potts is not the same as the reporter, who's not the same as Natasha Romanoff. They're who's not the same as Maya in 3. For all the 3's problems, they're distinctly different people who have distinctly different goals and personalities and ways of dealing with everything. It's clearly different, and now it's become just boss bitches out boss bitching each other.
Well, because feminists
I actually
can't
liked
write.
Scarlet Witch, a lot of it. I think that what they did with I think in WandaVision, the more I thought about it, because I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet, and then I thought, no, wait, hold on a second.
Right.
What? No,
And then the
WandaVision
guy-
actually is good female writing because she becomes a villain.
But the thing is, the writers didn't want her to, and so I will say,
she
Multiverse
was,
of
though.
Madness,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't perfect, they did
It's
kind of
good
go, no,
writing.
she is kind of crazy, like, because she did, because they
No,
wanted the guy
Vaughn.
to seem bad.
Vaughn, are you in a relationship?
No.
Okay, so my wife would give you advice and say, young Vaughn, let me tell you something about women. There are 2 types of women. There are crazy women, and there are women that know that they are crazy.
Mhm.
And
No, I'm not.
if you understand this, you write WandaVision the way that it got written, and then she becomes a villain because there are 2 types of women. There are crazy women, and there are women that know that they're crazy.
No, but my point is the writers wanted her to be like the good guy because they go,
Yeah, they didn't. They wrote her to be a villain, but then they wrote everyone acting like she was the knight in shining armor saving everyone.
That's
for
what I mean. Is
herself.
it was an unintentional. Like,
She is a villain, though. I mean, Scarlet Witch is a villain.
Yes.
The only time they've actually written female characters well, again, is Pepper Potts, and then Black Widow in the first Avengers. That is it. That is the only time that we get to see, and then we get to see the last time is Scarlet Witch, because Scarlet Witch becomes a villain. These are the only times. And
but Winter
what
Soldier, get Black Widow. They did Black Widow right a couple times.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't think she's that good in Winter Soldier. I really don't. I think she's the weak part of Winter Soldier.
Oh,
and the reason why is because she's not feminine at that point. She takes on more of a masculine role, and that is not her strength. Like our introduction to Scarlet Witch, she's tied in the chair. She's exposed. Her breasts
Black
are.
Widow.
Black Widow. Her breasts
Which
are.
they say is problematic now, by the way.
Yeah.
It is problematic.
And she's looking sexy as hell, sweaty,
Which is true to the
boobs,
character.
and she's
Yes, it is.
she's vulnerable. But her sexuality is key, is what is maintaining the control over these Russian oligarch mafia guys.
And also pretending she's weaker than she is.
Yes, exactly. That is Black Widow. That is the Black Widow. That is the character. And they wrote that so well. And in the Winter Soldier, she's just kind of more like, I don't know, like, hey, bro, I got tits, but I'm still your bro, you know? And you're like, and honestly, I think the mistake is trying to force the romance of Bruce Banner and Black Widow, because they had no chemistry.
No chemistry.
That was a
whatsoever.
huge
And she
mistake.
had Scarlett Johansson. I mean, I don't know what was going on behind the set, but she had great chemistry with Hawkeye, and she had great chemistry with Captain
Yeah, that was
America.
the most forced couple. Like, it didn't feel natural at all.
And if you I was really disappointed they didn't like incorporate Matt Faction's run on Hawkeye, like, because that's the best Hawkeye. I'm sorry, Matt Faction's run on Hawkeye. Do you guys know that one?
Yeah.
I've heard it's great.
Oh my gosh, Vaughn. It's the best. It's he takes a secondary character and just it's one of the best comic book runs. Sorry, it is. I love it. And that Hawkeye, you're like, dude, what? Why did you not do this? You know why? And then you could have done like Captain America and been like, okay, Peggy had her kids and like, you know, moved on because he was a popsicle. And like, oh, the Cold War is over, and like East meets West, and you know, fake hair and her boobs. No, it was good, but I still think that you could like it would have been better if like Captain America freaking laid some pipe with the freaking Cold War, you know, relic. You know, I don't know. By the way, guys. Chris Evans wears a hairpiece.
Really?
Oh yeah. So I worked on Civil War, the marketing for Civil War. I don't care if I sign an NDA. You guys can sue me, whatever.
Oh man, if they have to watch my entire stream because of this,
I had a bunch of I got access to all the photography from the film, and Chris Evans' hair has a net. You can see the netting of the hairpiece, like you know the fish netting, because it was like shot in like 8K or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you zoom in on, and you'll notice when he's in Fantastic Four as you know Johnny Storm, he has a widow's peak. Where'd the widow's peak go? Because you can't get rid of a widow's peak once you have a widow's peak, because he lost his hair. And it's very apparent in Avengers, like it is a hairpiece. But then Winter Soldier too, like he wears a hairpiece. He does the whole where they glue the hairpiece on, they put it on like netting, and you can see the netting in the photographs. It's hilarious. I'm like, and that's what I learned. I was all because I was starting to lose my hair around the time of Civil War, and I was all, I knew it. Mother effer.
You're like, you son of a bitch.
You're like me. You're losing your hair too. I don't have $1 million to glue my hair onto my head every day.
So basically, you're saying you're like Captain America.
Completely minus the gut I've developed because I love beer. I have a six-pack underneath it, though. I swear.
Right. Well, you just hold the shield in front, and then people won't see it.
Right in front.
Yeah, right in front.
That was actually a fun movie to work on, though. Civil War was a really fun movie to work on.
I had no idea you worked on so much stuff. That's awesome.
It was a good time in Hollywood, except for the fact that I lived in a terrible state run by terrible people.
Other than that, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, it was. I mean, I've had a fun time working on stuff. We did a website for Civil War where we literally, because you remember it was like Captain America versus Iron Man. So if you go on the website for your phone, you get to pick. It says pick a side, and if you flip your phone, depending on how you flip your phone, you can either pick Captain America or Iron Man, and the website is different. And that was like right at the end of like websites being cool for movies.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what? Websites? No one does websites anymore. But they used to be a thing, man.
They did. Yeah. Now everything's just on X.
Everything. Well, it used to be everything was on Instagram, and it was Facebook.
At this point, I've made my decision on what social media I'm going to use, and if people try to pull me into anything else, I'm just like, nah, I'm not. I don't have an account on that. I'm too old to get an account on anything else.
Yeah, you're gonna. It's like, let me. I've gone from millennial to boomer.
Yeah, I'm now a boomer. So
wait, Vaughn, are you Gen Z?
Yeah.
Nice. Because how old are you?
25.
Holy crap! And where did you go to film school?
Emerson College, Boston.
Where's that? In Boston.
Yeah.
I thought you were in Florida. You don't live in Florida?
No, I was there briefly. I was there, like we have a place there, but I haven't been there in a while. But I was there streaming there for a little bit, a couple months.
So you're Beantown boy?
Beantown? I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, you're from New Jersey.
I was gonna say you're from New York, New Jersey, right?
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very cool, man.
Yeah. That's where
at least you're not living in California like all the rest of everyone from the East Coast. Go home. F you, go home. Good Lord. It's like living in Los Angeles, growing up and living in Los Angeles, people would be like, oh, and they'd be waving their sports team flag. I'm like, where are you from? They're like, oh, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from New York. I was like, why don't you move back then, asshole, and get off my freaking freeway and quit clogging it up.
Yeah, I guess it's true because so many people move to LA, right? Yeah.
Dude, so many people. And I'm just like, I hope your house burnt down. I said it, I don't care.
I disavow. Well,
because they all voted for the Democrats. I don't give a crap.
That doesn't mean they deserve their house to get burned down.
Yes, it does.
They voted differently.
Yes, because the Democrat Party is the reason why the fires happen. And F them. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. My house caught on fire in 2019 because of those mother effers.
Oh my lord!
All right. Well, anyway, trying to stay off of politics.
I said what I said. I don't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah. Did not expect so much politics tonight.
Well, anytime you stream with Salty, he's gonna drop some politics. I don't give a crap.
Yeah. I mean, overall, yeah, just great movie in general.
Fantastic.
Trying to think of others they've got women. I think we were talking about that the other movies just don't know how to write women, right?
Yeah.
And then somehow that led to, I don't even know.
Well, I'll always.
This is a result of me not having
off the rails.
More of a structure to this and just
Well,
form, you know.
You really need more of a structure. If you're gonna have
can
me
we
on,
talk about
Jared.
the score? The score of this movie is great. The soundtrack.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
good call, Vaughn.
Good call.
Absolutely.
Because I was like,
man.
let's get to somewhere productive. We've been talking politics. You edit this.
I can.
I don't care.
I don't know if I will, but I can.
Oh, come on. You're afraid of politics? Are you trying to ride the fence there?
Me? I don't try to not talk about it too much. Yeah, I try. I don't like. Yeah, I mean, I still want a career, and I also not even just that, because look, it's also I don't know. I just don't talk politics a ton. I don't think it's. I think a lot of people. I mean, how often do you go? I wish that person wouldn't talk too much politics.
Never anymore. I'm gonna tell because I growing up in LA and working in LA for many years. When you keep yourself quiet about your values and your views and your opinions, you kill your own soul and spirit.
No, I get that.
And when you do that, you actually disconnect from your own ability to be creative. You have to be yourself.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, but I think that now we live in a society where politics matter more than ever because we're being forced to care. It used to be a thing where it's like it didn't matter because you were doing your thing and whatever. But the fact is that the left is forcing us to deal with it. So I'm in the ship of fine, let's deal with it, and I'll bring it up every chance I get because you want to go that, then I'm going to go that. I'm just going to do it in a more entertaining way, like WWE style. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you said WWE. So it depends. So to answer you, Vaughn, for me personally, it completely depends on how they talk about it. I like listening to the Jim Cornette Experience. Jim Cornette is a former wrestling manager who is retired. He is, I would almost say, violently left wing, where he also wishes for the death and destruction of anyone who is a Republican. He really hates Republicans. He really hates Christians, but he's very knowledgeable about wrestling. So when I'm listening to him, I really like listening to him talk about wrestling. And then when he veers off into everyone who doesn't vote like me is a stupid asshole who I hope they die, I'm like, okay, well,
then you check out.
That's a little awkward.
No, I mean, I don't necessarily like hide it, but I'm also, to be honest, not that political of a person to begin with.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm just answering your question specifically because generally, I mostly talk about comics because we're on most comic streams. Yeah. But I don't. I have lots of friends like Salty, Luke Stone. We'll talk about politics. Cooper from Telepathic Bunny. Well, he will talk about politics all the live long day. I have lots of people who talk about politics, and I completely understand where you're coming from. I don't, I have a problem with that at all. If you don't want to talk about politics ever, No problem with me.
I don't think I said ever, but I just don't.
No,
talk
no,
too much.
I don't. I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying if you did, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So I get where you're coming from, because I do the same
Well, I'm
thing
also
with.
just not super into it, to be honest. It's not a topic I'm. But no, I mean, it's I guess it's just when it gets to like super intrusive in entertainment. I'm like, hey, whoa.
Well, yeah.
Play a role.
No, I definitely when it comes to entertainment, it comes to storytelling, and that's where I think the MCU and Disney and a lot of other companies have gone wrong, is that they have put the politics. Yes, exactly. Like, I have never hated when
is intrusive.
Yeah, I never hated when I can see the writer's values in the story that they're creating. I don't.
That's kind of a contradiction, because you said that you want to see the values.
No, I don't hate it. I don't get mad, like, when I disagree with the values, I should say. So when I see a good story and I start seeing that writer's values in that story, I don't get mad if they contradict my values, because they're putting the story first. It's always about making sure you tell a good story. It's just inevitable that that person that's creating the story, that's giving us the story, is going to put their values in there, because that is part of the creative process. Is like, your essence of who you are is your value system, and that's going to show up. But if you're focused on telling a good narrative, a good story that's going to move people, I can overlook the fact that your values contradict my values. It's when it becomes the engine of the train that I'm like, oh, what?
If you guys didn't watch She-Hulk, don't. But in She-Hulk, it's not.
I had no intention.
It's not like her famous rant about how she controls her temper infinitely more than Bruce every day. When she says that to him, it's not that in and of itself that is the problem. The problem is that is not a story. That is a meta narrative that's being inserted for someone's political talking points.
Yeah.
That is butting the story out of the way for the sake of making a political talking point. So, like, the problem is not the story. The story sucks. But the reason the story sucks is because the activism won't let the story be anything other than activism.
Yeah.
It's like I said earlier when we were talking about America Chavez. The problems in Multiverse of Madness and America Chavez, it has nothing to do with the lesbian moms. It has to do with all the other crap. That has nothing to do with anything else other than the bad writing that's in the way. And there's no activism in that. There's no activism in Multiverse of Madness. It's just bad writing.
It's just not a good movie.
Yeah. So you can have bad writing that's just bad writing, and then you can have bad writing because activism is knocking it out of the way.
It's such a missed opportunity too, because you're taking great characters. Because She-Hulk, in my opinion, I don't think She-Hulk was ever a great character. But Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, man, what a missed opportunity. Just because. And I honestly think, knowing Hollywood a little bit, being a little bit on the inside, somewhat, understanding it, having parents that were actors in Hollywood and stuff, and just knowing how the business works and everything, like, you see the transformation of Marvel, and you're just it's so much nepotism, but so much of the politics mattering on how people get hired.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me when I was in film school. Well, that's why, again, I'm not a super political person, but I was like, oh my God, like, I can't even say like anything, any of my values without getting like,
yeah.
Well, that's why
I'm told you have to preach values in entertainment that you don't even agree with.
Well, no, that's why I think politics matter right now, because it's being forced upon us. So it's, like, I'm a fourth generation Angelino. I come from a town where, politics actually didn't matter. I mean, Bob Hope was a staunch Republican. Paul Newman was a staunch Democrat, and they everyone got along in Hollywood making movies somewhat, and that what ended up happening it got taken over by leftists. And so now we're being forced to deal with it. We're being forced to digest it. We're being forced to have to experience it. And so that's why it actually does matter. It actually is important. It actually we do need people that have like very middle of the road like values, like an Elon Musk, have to get into the fight, because we have to get back to a place where free speech is important, diversity of thought is actually key, not like is a great thing to have, not diversity of immutable characteristics, but diversity of thought, so that we can get back to a place in the 1950s where you had people of differing political parties making art for everyone to consume. We're not there, man. We're in a place where the left completely dominates mainstream media, and the only counter is a bunch of really weird people complaining on the internet about left-wing politics and entertainment, while not promoting or celebrating or elevating anyone that's a counter to that. And guys like you who have your own values, you need to be vocal about those values and like stand up for them.
I am, but I just don't, I think I've been vocal. I just don't go crazy on the paint with it.
Let me ask a question.
Well, I will go crazy. I will be Shaq in the key.
Just don't shoot.
I'm open about where I stand. I just don't talk about it all the time.
So by the end of the end game, we see that they've gone full like armor with pepper pots. Do
you mean full feminazi?
Well, see, that's the thing. In the comics, she did get a suit.
Yeah.
But there was a very important distinction about her suit that they did not carry over to the films. In the comics, she was called Rescue, was her code name. And the suit had no weapons.
You know why she was called Rescue in the comics? Because Pepper Potts is the perfect female.
Well, there you go. She refused to fight, and everything that she had on board the suit was all designed around support and rescue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they so my question is, in Iron Man 1, do you see any seeds at all being sown in the character of Pepper Potts where you could see her becoming either what they made her into, or see her eventually becoming Rescue, and they just didn't do that?
I don't think they were really. Is Rescue a common? Like, how often does she appear in the comics?
Not super often. She wasn't like all the time. Like,
I don't know if it was
sidekick
on
to
their
Iron Man.
mind. I know War Machine was on their mind. I don't
Yeah,
know that.
absolutely he
I don't
was.
know that Rescue was on their mind. I could see it happening, like, because I don't know Rescue as a character, to be fair, that well.
Plus Pepper Potts, but wearing a suit of armor to save people. That's it.
Oh, what up, D-Wag?
I don't know. Can we talk about the score too? By the way.
Oh,
The
yeah. Well,
score.
yeah. Sorry. The score is so good, and I mean, as a person that loves music, the soundtrack is amazing. And then the score is also. Who did the score? Can someone look that up? Because the score is good, but the soundtrack is phenomenal. I would say the soundtrack is everything, and the score is pretty good. It's not Hans Zimmer good, but it's pretty good.
Da-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, no, dude, Vaughn, it is very good. It is, but I mean, you got to think about us like, if we're gonna talk about, like, we're
is it
gonna
Hans
rank
Zimmer? No.
scores.
Ramin Djawadi
Yeah, no, it's a good score. It's a really
was
good
music
score.
by, who is an Iranian-German film score composer. He's known
good.
for his scores for the HBO series Game of Thrones.
Oh, very nice. Which is all the rage, but is basically Skinamax Lord of the Rings.
Well, he did a phenomenal job here, and that sting that you just referenced.
Yeah.
Like you think of Iron Man when you hear it.
Oh, dude, here the thing about it. Okay, so I'm so glad Vaughn brought this up. So that's the other thing. So you talk about like forgettable scores. All the Marvel movies leading up to Iron Man, very forgettable scores.
Yeah,
you
wait,
can't you can't hum. You can't even like harken back to anything.
No. Dun, 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 dun. Come on. The X-Men and Spider-Man themes, absolutely you can. Absolutely.
Can you?
Yes.
I don't know. Am I wrong?
Well, I think.
Come on.
All right.
I think that Danny, like the themes that Danny Elfman did for Spider-Man.
Yeah, come on.
They were pretty good.
Oh, I don't know.
But like
the Iron Man one is
it's very
powerful,
different though, because
and it
like,
evokes emotion. That's the thing, is like so you got to judge a score not just by the fact that it's like, oh, it's cool, it sounds good, but it evokes emotion and it draws you in.
Like the Spider-Man.
Okay, I'm just a hater. I hate the Sony Spider-Man. I do. I don't like any of them.
What the hell?
I don't like any
That's
of them.
that's the best, dude.
Disappointing.
I will happily host.
I'm
Spider-Man
disappointed by your disappointment.
I feel
movie.
like Spider-Man is going going to McDonald's and expecting In-N-Out. Expecting In-N-Out.
In-N-Out is overrated. You want to talk about overrated?
What?
Five Guys, burgers and fries. I went to In-N-Out in LA, and I said, I mean, that was pretty good.
Well,
everyone's like, it's the best thing ever. I'm like,
no, it's the best thing ever because it costs $6.
See, that's good. That's right.
It's cheaper than McDonald's, and it tastes better than Five Guys.
Tastes better than Five Guys? Why did you say it like that?
Because
why
it's
did you
true.
Say it?
Because I've had both. I've had Whataburger. I've traveled across the country eating all the burgers. $6, get a double animal style. So delicious.
You like
it's the only thing I miss.
You like the taste of Five Guys?
Well,
see, like you said it, like I want you to go back to listen to how you said it. Like,
the taste of Five Guys. Well, that's the cheeseburger place, right? It's called Five Guys.
Yeah. That is the cheeseburger place.
I just think the way you said it was very funny.
I like the taste. I don't like the taste of Five Guys.
I do. I like their burgers.
I have not experienced the taste of Five Guys, but I have tasted the experience of Five Guys.
In-N-Out, yeah, they're not bad. I'm not saying anything bad against In-N-Out.
Cameron is jumping in.
I think it's fine.
It's delicious.
But you're talking about it like it's the best.
It is the Iron Man of burgers.
That's obscene. That is obscene.
Don't care. Iron Man of burgers.
No, it is not.
What Iron Man was to Marvel, In-N-Out is to fast food cheeseburgers.
Did it upset you, burger connoisseurs, that he was going to Burger King when he got back to the United States?
My wife. So we were watching it last night, and my wife was all like, "Of all the burgers, Burger King,
that's
really?
What I thought. I was thinking that. I was like, no, you know what I thought? I thought Burger King must have given them like money.
Oh,
well,
absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just like in the Turtles movie when they're in New York and they have Pizza Hut. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
His house is like on the coast of Malibu. I'm all, obviously it would have been In-N-Out. I'm sorry, guys. Obviously,
the only in-universe explanation, they set up the place for the press conference, and the only thing on the way was Burger King. That's the only explanation.
I will say, Burger King burgers, when you walk into a Burger King, it smells delicious because of the flame broil.
That is a fantastic question. What is the superhero equivalent of Carl's Jr.?
Hardee's. No, I learned that there's no such thing as a Carl's Jr. in the South. It's called Hardee's now.
Yes, we call it Hardee's here.
Yeah, okay.
But the real question, what's the superhero equivalent of it?
Of a Carl's
Jr. / Hardee's.
What does that mean?
I don't even. Yeah,
he said the superhero.
Because you started with this stupid ass metaphors, and now we have to go along with them.
It's to Iron Man.
Like
Carl's Jr. is to who?
Taco Bell one kind of worked with that one, but then you went off the handle and said things that just didn't make sense.
No, they make sense. You just have to be a little bit older.
Have bad opinions.
No, my opinions are always correct. You're just too young to understand them.
I love how you were like the comics, as if I haven't read the ones that Raimi clearly pulled from.
No, I will say that
films.
I will say that Raimi isn't a bad director. It's just that Tobey Maguire.
Anyway, back to why Iron Man is good.
Yes.
So Iron Man is good for. I mean, I basically covered everything. The script, everything comes back. Like that, not having a heart, that comes back. the going up and then freezing, that comes back. Everything comes back basically, which is why I do think Obadiah putting on the armor kind of does stick out a bit, because it's like, I do understand, especially now that I'm thinking about it. I do think it is the weakest link. I do. And
Obadiah
I think it's a
putting
cool
on
fight.
the Iron Man, but it's a good story because Obadiah is his, is the nemesis, because he's the guy that tried to kill him. He's the guy that's been undermining him his whole life. Essentially, he's the guy that's been helping enable him in his addictions, in his weakness. So Obadiah is like the guy that's been shoveling the women towards him. He's been shoveling the parties towards him.
Yeah.
He's been weakening our hero. And
Yeah,
then
that's
so
true.
of course he's going to don the armor, because he's now having to face his own, like,
Maybe I'm just grasping at
he's
straws,
got to
honestly.
finish what he
I think you're trying to be reasonably find a flaw instead of it just because you don't want to. I mean, we don't want to just give it all praise and miss possible critique.
Yeah.
But
it's
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 a
the
damn good
perfect
movie.
comic. Yeah, it is. I mean, honestly, when it comes to comic book movies, it's the best one.
It's pretty damn good, man. Like again, even the final fight where it's the two of them, it does work because it works in the conflict of the story. So like
Yep.
I keep going back and forth. I genuinely do really like Obadiah Stane as a villain, by the way, and I do like the final fight. I guess maybe with the family thing, I'm kind of nitpicking a little bit, but ultimately that's my point, is that it's kind of a nitpick. But yeah, I mean, it's so good, man, and it's like, I like that is an insane budget too. But I
Yeah.
love that it like the car where he's smashing him with that, and just the motorcycle part is cool where he throws him and hits him into the thing and he keeps stomping on him. And the reason why it works where it's the evil version, the good version, is because Tony is better effortlessly, even when even Obadiah says this at the end where it's like, you even in trying to save the world, you built the best one. Obadiah is basically, I think why it kind of works is that even when he tries to perfect them, it's all cope. It's like he's never. So thematically, this fight works on that level too. So
and
I
you
do
think about something too.
I'm kind of taking back my own, like, because I started off. With
You were
I'm
sending
trying
it.
to think. No, I'm trying to like, because you know what I mean. I'm trying to
Yeah.
be reasonable.
Yeah,
and
of
think
course.
flaws, but I do think it really does work. When
And
I
if
think about
you
it, it
look
works.
at like their
It's kind of
fight,
reverse Far From Home. It works more.
that's true. Yeah.
Far From Home
If
is
you
terrible.
look at
It's a
their
terrible
fight
movie.
and you
liked it a lot
see
when I saw it.
like when he's flying up there in that moment where he's like, how did you solve the icing
love
problem?
that problem.
And he says icing problem. So like that's beautiful because it shows the difference of someone who built it and knows it and it is his and it is him, and someone who just bought something, you know.
Or had a team hire
Yeah.
people to do it.
Yeah.
But let's look at the budget real quick. So you got for the film 130 to 140 million. You always, every time you guys see a Hollywood movie, this is what's so funny about the FNT crowd, is one of the things they don't understand is like when a movie costs something, take that value 140 million and you got about like not only half it, but maybe take about 3/4 of it and understand that is money laundering. And then the rest is what costs to make the movie. Because
Is it true that you double it for like marketing expenses?
Yeah, well, so not anymore. So a lot of movie making is a lot of paying off people. A lot of times movies get made to launder money. No joke. It is about paying off friends. It's about paying off investors. It is kind of like making movies nowadays is a little bit like fighting a war in Ukraine. Wait, what? Yeah. 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 It's
All right,
true.
so
it's actually true. Sorry.
So
guys.
I think in this instance, one of the questions I wanted to ask was, did the writing and the quality of the writing, was that reflected in the budget? And I think in this case, yes. Like I don't think now this is what I was going to kind of ask you this, Salty / opine on this a little bit. I do think that this being like the one that broke new ground because it's Iron Man, no 2, no 3, not following up on Civil War or Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of this is from word of mouth, from critic reviews. It's people who heard oh, well, this is legit. I should check this out. Oh, this is awesome. Everyone said it's really good.
Yeah,
I think that's the case.
Well, we would have to look. So, I mean, one of the ways that we could tell is if we look at opening weekend. I don't know if you can pull that up or find that, but like opening weekend numbers, and then what happens after. So, opening weekend is always the result of a good marketing campaign, star power. Sustain is always the result of good writing, good directing, good acting.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, and again, you're talking to somebody who was in marketing. We were always responsible for opening weekend when we were marketing movies. Everything else, we did not want to take responsibility for. Okay. Like at all. And one of the movies I got to work on was Taken 3, had the best opening weekend out of the trilogy. And we would like to, I would like to take a responsibility, partly for the opening weekend numbers being the best out of the trilogy because our campaign was so good. I don't know what this just sustain was because we didn't pay attention to that. We only cared because in marketing, we only ever cared about opening weekend.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Well, that's all that matters, man. Because the moment people see the movie and start to talk about it, it is on the movie. It is the responsibility of the movie. That's why Captain America, the new one, Captain America in quotes, is going to bomb because it will not sustain because the marketing was not there. The marketing was terrible.
I have not actually seen very much marketing at all.
I've seen a lot of marketing.
Really? Where have you seen it? Because I wonder if I miss it because of where I frequent.
I mean, just I guess when I'm out and about at the gym, I'll see it playing on the TVs.
The trailer, but
I've heard it's very bad.
Yeah, so the trailer was terrible.
Movies, yeah, the trailer does not look interesting.
The trailer was very bad, and I don't know who did the trailer. I hope it was not my old company. Oh, because they do really good trailers, and that was not a good trailer. But it also sometimes a trailer depends on the amount of material that the ad agency gets from the studio.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just don't have the cuts or the to edit something together to make a good trailer. So that could be the reason, but the trailer was very underwhelming. And it was not exciting. It wasn't exciting, man. It did not the trailer did not make you want to go see the movie. Like I remember the Iron Man trailers. They made you want to see the movie. You were like, "Oh, I got to see this." Like the Avengers trailers, so, like the trailer pretty much like most of the trailers for the Marvel universe have been so on point and so good. And that I should have brought that up, hindsight being 2020. A good trailer will get people into to see the movie opening weekend for sure.
So from Iron Man opening weekend, giving it legs, like you were saying earlier, writing everything else, being how it performs long term. Do we look at Iron Man 2 and its opening day, its opening weekend of 128 million? Do we look at this and do we conclude, yeah, this probably did as well as it did because Iron Man carried it there?
Well, yeah, I would say that it's partly the trailer, the marketing campaign, because the trailer is part of the marketing campaign. And then obviously because you had Iron Man being such a great film, people probably were really excited to go see this film. I mean, if Iron Man wasn't a great film, you're not seeing half that money opening weekend.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hence why it made more money than all the other monies that
and increased overall from there you are.
Sorry, I accidentally hit something. It was my bad.
No problem.
But no, I mean, I think we kind of just covered that it's good, and then we kind of kept going ADHD.
Cameron Richards asks, what do y'all think about the Fantastic Four trailer? It's good.
I do think it looks good.
That's a good trailer. Actually, it's not it's a teaser. So what people don't realize, because people keep talking about, I want more, I want this, I want that. It's a teaser. It's not even a trailer. So you always have a teaser, and then you have the first trailer, and then you have the second trailer. sometimes a third trailer. So what we got to see was a teaser, and as teasers go, that's a damn good teaser because it gives you a lot more than most teasers usually give. I hate the casting of the film, but the teaser is so good. I still want to go. I actually want to go. I want to drive 30 minutes into town because I live in the middle of nowhere to see this damn movie with the shit casting that it has.
Do you think they'll get Invisible Woman right?
I think that might be the only thing they get right.
You think they'll get a woman right?
I think they might. Yeah, I'm hopeful. I always like to approach things very hopeful. I hope they do. I hope they get an Invisible Woman right. I think Invisible Woman is actually one of the best female characters.
I love Sue Storm. Yeah.
Sue Storm is.
I need to read more Fantastic Four. I haven't read enough.
Read John Byrne. Yeah.
John Byrne and Kirby, I hear, is the two best.
I think she might be the best female character outside. Jean Grey and her are like the two best female characters.
Storm's up there.
Storm is up there,
Storm's
but
good too.
I don't know. Sue Storm and Jean Grey, I think, encompass that feminine power better than any other character in Marvel.
All right,
and what I mean by fair, and we're talking like powerful, so again, big Tolkien fan. Tolkien's my favorite fiction ever. Middle Earth is my favorite fiction ever. Galadriel is the most powerful female character in Tolkien, and she's so powerful. And so like if that's my pinnacle, then I look at Sue Storm and like Jean Grey. They're super, like, a woman is very powerful, but it's a feminine power, and those are the two most powerful characters in the Marvel universe that are feminine but super powerful, like world-ending power, like I will wreck your world power, but done well.
All right, so for Iron Man 1, here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to get a thumbs up or a thumbs down from the panel.
Oh, gee, I wonder what people are going to.
For character writing. I mean, that we all know anyway. But character writing, dialogue, and plot. What do you guys think of that? Any other writing categories you can think of?
Yeah, but I mean, I think we could skip the formalities and just give everything a thumbs up, right? Does anyone have
of course.
Does
Yeah.
anyone have anything in those departments?
Well, for me, it's the best comic book, movie.
So you'll give it all thumbs down then.
2 thumbs up, 5 stars, 10 stars, 10 out of 10, 5 stars
from the panel.
Yeah.
There
I
we
mean,
go.
and again, I'm saying it's the best comic book movie while loving Winter Soldier. But the reason why I think it edges it out, because I think Winter Soldier has a couple of flaws, whereas Iron Man is just kind of a flawless film.
Yeah.
It's really good.
In my opinion,
might be a perfect film. Yeah.
It might be perfect. Like I might have, the fact that I had to try so hard is evident of something.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you're trying, that is a testament to how good it is. But also, let's try because,
Yeah, exactly. That's what we do.
It's good to be critical.
But I want to make it clear. Like, I do really like it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You've made that clear.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
But I mean, how do you not? All right. So we are just over the 2:15 mark, and I think we've definitely answered all the questions that I have about the writing in Iron Man 1. Before I let you guys go, I did want to shill your books for anyone watching and for anyone watching in the future. So I'll start by showing off Silence Do Good. Right here, you can get
it's time travel, guys. It is time travel, but not.
It is time travel. You can get this on funmycomic.com/campaign/silence-do good.
Silence Do Good is a story about a young Ben Franklin, about Vaughn Coleman's age, maybe a little younger, like 19, and he gets trapped. He gets kidnapped by time travelers and trapped inside a VR program controlled by an artificial intelligence that thinks it's God.
Awesome.
Look at those awesome covers, awesome art, excellent story.
And if you
Good
love
stuff.
Doctor Who, Star Trek, and other sci-fi, you're gonna love this. And it has a lot of American history in it, or just a little bit. Every issue has a nice American history lesson at the end of it, which is written by my father, who's a historian, and then lots of lasers, robots, and hijinks.
There we go.
And explosions.
And of course, right now we're funding
Yes,
Phenomenova issue 2.
Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and Fund My Comics. So back on the platform of your choice.
Excellent.
We passed over 6,000 across the platforms.
Hey,
it's fully
congrats.
lettered and basically printer ready. I just got those printer numbers, and I'm like, oh god, we need more money. So it is a superhero story set 20 years after World War III. If you missed idealistic superhero stories or origins like Iron Man, you're in luck because we have our main character is shedding his first armor, so to speak, and getting his next one. It's still not his final one. Basically, he's being trained by one of the veteran heroes that fought during the war. If you want to see someone who I think I could write female character as well, then check out this book right here. But also, of course, our male character. We have a Fun My Comic exclusive cover, but we also have some other ones. And then the main cover. It's 24 pages. It's totally done, and it should be shipping out March or April is my hope.
Oh god, very nice.
And I have number 1, and I will say number 1 is good. I got to get number 2.
Thank you. Yeah, make sure you get it. It's good, man. That's the people tell me is that they think it's good.
Hey, you can tell other people it's good too. We believe you.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Barron liked the first one, which I was like, "Can I get a quote from you?" Like as soon as he said that, he was like, "I think it's good." I'm like, "All right, let me circle back on that." So yeah, I mean,
wait, can we watch the trailers for our comic books? Good lord, guy, come on, let's watch this trailer.
Yeah,
and I'll be right
We'll
back.
go here and then go back. I don't know if the audio will play. I think it will. If it doesn't, let me know.
It's not playing.
Not playing?
No.
All right, hang on. Let me stop. Present. Share. Share screen. I admittedly don't do this very often.
It's okay.
Mute website notifications. If I share it, can I edit name? I can only stop it. Do you use StreamYard? Can you walk me through this?
Yeah.
All right. How do I get the audio to play?
Well, I don't know why you're having an issue with the audio, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're sharing a window?
Yeah.
No problem. If you share...
Let me share the entire browser. Or the entire screen.
You go Chrome tab, and if you click it that way. Are you in Chrome right now?
I'm in Brave for that one. Hang on.
Oh,
I'm
maybe.
going to share screen too.
I could share it on my end.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let me try this again. If this doesn't work, then yes, please.
Yeah, it's not working.
Not working? Okay. All right. You share, and we will have you present it. I'm boomering it up.
Boomer.
I know. Not even good at shilling. Good grief.
Not even good at anything.
Unbelievable.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Ready.
Boom. All right.
I just want it to be like the Crusader Corps. Like my father. I thought with my new powers I could be. But I failed. I let everyone down. I got people hurt. I just wanted to make the world a better place. And instead I made things worse. But now I have the chance to make things right with the help of one of the Crusader Corps. The Phoenix section. And I will. I have to. Whatever it takes. I will find that spark again.
Who's your penciler?
He is Philip Cruz is his name. He's really good.
Yeah, I like the art, man.
Yeah. Love it too. Obviously,
It's fantastic.
he does amazing work, man.
All right, I'm gonna play my trailer. I wish I had some narration. Maybe I should get some.
That's awesome, dude. That looks. I'd have to get you on my show sometime to talk about it. That looks great.
Hell yeah! I got Oh, that's my other thing that I did. Oh, can't watch that because that'll get you. That'll get you struck, right there.
Whoops.
That's something I animated. So I wrote it, I illustrated it, I colored it, I lettered it. I did everything all by my lonesome. And it was a fun time. It's a good book. If you love sci-fi, if you like Star Trek, if you like Doctor Who, you would like my comic book. And I do have the volume 1 coming out very soon with additional story pages, and that is going to kick ass because I've taken feedback from Mike Barron and Paul Ravoch and a couple other people and made changes. And the changes are going to be good.
That wasn't volume 1?
No, so that is issues 1 through 3, and issues 1 through 3 is me stumbling through being a comic book creator. Because while I loved comic books growing up, I never made a comic book. So this is my first comic book. So I decided to, when I did I wrote it kind of as a full-on story, 75 pages of story, and then I broke it up into 3 issues and sold those. But it really is meant to be a graphic novel. So you should buy all 3 issues because that'll help me make the next graphic novel. But, you know, volume 1 will be coming out, and it's going to be dope because I'll have covers from Eric Weathers and Dan Lawless, but also more covers from me. And I'm a better artist than I was 5 years ago.
So this is but it's the same story. It's different.
It's the same story, but it's better with more pages and better letters. And
so should I wait to get that one or?
Yeah, no, buy everything now and then buy the next one later.
Yeah.
So you understand why we're talking marketing. That might not be.
Oh no, I'm the worst at marketing myself. I can market the crap out of other people, but I'm terrible at marketing myself because it's my own art, and you should never have. I'm learning how to market myself, and I'm not good. What I've learned is I'm not good at it.
I actually learned that I'm pretty decent at it, which is shocking.
Which is good, man. You should take pride in that because I am a great marketer when it comes to everyone but me.
It's actually very common. That's very common.
Like, no joke, man. I mean, I can market you better than myself, and I will.
Thank you. All right. So,
Well, thank you guys for coming on. I had a blast. Vaughn, it was wonderful to stream with you. Salty, it was wonderful to stream with you again.
Great. I never streamed with you
Let's
guys.
just say
fun, yeah.
Phenomenova looks great, man. It looks
Thank you.
phenomenal.
Thank you.
I started reading it. I just haven't been able to finish it. But
It's
what
okay,
I
I
read
haven't gotten
was
yours
awesome,
yet, so I have to get to yours. I've just
So hey, respect, solidarity there.
So
yeah. Well, hey, again, I thank you so much, guys. I look forward to the next streams, and you guys are welcome back on for these or anything else in the future. I had a blast. I'm going to go ahead and send this out with my trailer. But everyone who's watching and has stuck with us, thank you so much. And everyone watching in the future, thank you so much.
And
Check
none of
your
you
stuff out.
have no excuse for not getting this comic because it's literally free.
It's literally free. So I'm going to end it with the free one. Thank you, Vaughn. Thank you, Salty. You guys are the best. Have a great night, everybody. Take it easy.
Mission control to Vic. Mission control to Vic. Vic, are you ready, man?
Yeah.
Tell me you can trust me.
Don't forget our intel. Something about her is not normal.
You can trust me. You love me. You want to make me happy.
I know your hands are filthy. And I know about your tricks. The only thing I don't know is what you are.
You'd die for me.
But I'll figure that out.
Don't disappoint me.
Once I haul you out of here.
Who did you lose to make you this angry?
Not human. What are you?
I'm so much more.